hello there. How you doing? I'm Bruce Williams. Welcome, my friends. Welcome to Talknet, where we talk about you, all the things that are special to you and that make you very special. Sit back, relax. I'm awfully glad you're here. I'm Bruce. Welcome to Talknet. Our telephone number, 800-743-8000, 800-743-8000. Get you here from anywhere in North America. Number's good as we speak, and we do have a couple of open lines, or if you prefer, Uncle Dan and I will be here from 10 p.m. to 3 a.m. Eastern Time, taking your calls off the air for broadcast at a future date. So either way, tonight, or if you prefer, a little later on tonight, from 10 p.m. to 3 a.m., give us a shout. We begin the festivities in WDDO country, the Mouse World, Orlando. Hello there.
Hello. Good evening, Bruce.
How are you?
I'm very good, and I must tell you that we have 3 generations of the family listening to you tonight.
What?
Which is sort of unusual.
Son of a gun. I mean, I can understand the first and maybe the second, but the third, that's
I tell you, I'm sure it's not a record, but we enjoy listening to you, and had a strange incident happen the other day. Actually, I was not involved in it. It affected my wife.
What happened?
She was dining. Actually, they were having breakfast. Her and 5 other mothers. They were planning like a Cub Scout planning function, and they were eating at having a breakfast at a restaurant. Anyways, they and my wife had our 10-month-old daughter with her in a high chair at one extreme end of the table. It was like a long, I think, a rectangular type size table. At any rate, they were drinking coffee, and my wife was very specific to keep the coffee on the opposite end of the table from my daughter. At 10 months, she's very active and reaching, and you've been there,
Yes, I remember that.
Well, ironically, my wife was very insistent on it. She said, no, because my daughter cannot be close to the coffee. At any rate, the waitress brought another, like a carafe of coffee, which you've seen. I know you're not a coffee drinker, but...
No, but I'm aware.
Anyways, she set the new carafe, which was just, fresh coffee, and right in front of my daughter. And before anybody could react, my daughter knocked it on my wife and my daughter. So the coffee went on both of them. Mm-hmm. And the women, they have that maternal instinct. They dumped hot water. They dumped cold ice water, which was there in pitchers, on my daughter. Subsequently, she did not sustain any major burns. They called her burns first degree. But at any rate, my wife was not so fortunate. She was devoting her reaction to our daughter.
Yeah, they didn't dump any cold water on her, huh? I'm serious. Ice water is the way to go.
Yeah, well, exactly. But because they did react that way with my daughter, so immediately after this happened, one of the women there drove my wife and my daughter to our daughter's pediatrician, had her checked out first, sort of at my wife's expense. And my daughter was okay. They called it first-degree burns, which I guess are minor compared to like second and third would be worse. At any rate, then my daughter checks out. Then they say, okay, well, I got to have my wife examined. So they did, and her condition was much worse. After this, the woman that was driving her around came back to the restaurant because she convinced my wife, hey, we need to file a report.
Why didn't the pediatrician look at your wife?
Well, that's an interesting question. They were not real receptive, I guess, because of the emergency nature, and our pediatrician was not, the normal doctor wasn't in at the time. But at any rate...
Wait a minute, you say, don't slough that off.
The
fact that they wouldn't treat your wife, you probably got a better action against them than you do against the waitress, if that's what you're talking about.
Well, I'm not really looking for an action right now. Well, I guess that is one of my questions. But my wife is throwing hand signals at me while I'm talking.
Why don't you put your wife on?
I wanted to, Bruce, but she would not do it.
Oh, that rascal.
She's too nervous, so just go away.
Go away, woman.
At any rate, she was examined by another doctor. My wife was. They went to another doctor nearby.
Time is passing here.
Well, exactly. And so the bottom line, we have... Since then, my wife went back to the doctor today. This was Friday, it happened. Now it's Tuesday. She has to go back again. The bottom line, and her leg looks really bad, where she got burned, but it only got one leg. And we're at about $250 in medical bills right now. And, you know...
Well, do you have hospitalization?
Yeah, we do.
Well, that would cover 80% of it or more.
Right. The problem, she hasn't met her deductible yet, so we're at it now with all of these bills.
I see.
But what our concern is, do you feel that we should talk to an attorney, number one? Number two, do you feel that we could just approach the restaurant directly and try to work something out? And then,
well, what do you want to work out?
Well, she may have an infection. Her doctor today was concerned that there could be a potential infection. After examining it, she's got to go back in 7 days.
Well, you see, it's too early to discuss any in terms of damages.
I agree. I think so, too. And
but it seems to me, once again, the more culpable party here is your obstetrician or your pediatrician.
You think the pediatrician sort of had a duty to...
You had an emergency situation, and they wouldn't, and they sent you somewhere else?
Yeah, they did, exactly.
That's absurd.
Yeah, my wife had a real bad feeling about that place after she left. In fact, you know, the way you are assessing it right now, you don't really think that the waitress...
Well, I think she was careless. Let's start with that.
Right.
But equally, how do I tell you this? Bringing a kid into a hostile environment, you take a certain amount of responsibility for the child's activity.
Sure.
I think you could argue that the waitress is put on notice.
Right.
And that's certainly a strong argument. But it could be equally argued that you were aware of the fact that your daughter was into everything, and you'd have kept her away from the table.
Well, that's true.
It could be argued. I didn't say... Okay. But I don't think there's any argument. You have an injured person in the presence of a physician. Right. The physician has a duty.
You're right. Regardless of the age or the specialty.
Without regard. Hell, I'm a pediatrician. You didn't go to regular medical school? Or the skin on an adult, is that different from the skin on a child?
It's kind of like you see these situations where you have a doctor on a plane or a boat.
No. That's different. Mm-hmm. They're in their, for lack of a better term, their civilian capacity.
Yeah, that's true. You're right.
And they're also in many places protected by what is called the Good Samaritan law, so they can go ahead and treat.
I see.
But you're in the physician's office.
Correct.
With an emergency situation. Right. Which they clearly have the expertise to treat if they treated the child.
Right.
Because there's no difference, and I don't think a material difference in the dermatology of a child or an adult. Right. And they refuse treatment. I think you got them right not where you want them. But I'll tell you what, I will be real. I don't know if I can scare up an attorney or two, and maybe a physician to comment on
that.
That
would be, we would appreciate, right now.
You hang tight.
Okay.
And we'll see if we can find, because it seemed to me, I want to give the medical fraternity a chance to respond, and I know we have a lot of physicians that listen to this program, and I also would like an attorney to respond. The number is 703. 413-8381. That's 703 area code 413-8381. One more time, 703-413-8381. If you're a physician or an attorney hustling from one spot to the other, pick up that cellular, give us a shout. I would like to hear from both sides of that aisle, and your candor will be appreciated. 703-413-8381. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Alrighty, I first have a physician in Titusville, Florida, and following that, an attorney in Winter Park, Florida.
Oh, my. Hello.
Okay, let's go to, we have Orlando here and Titusville. Hello there.
Good evening.
Hello, doctor.
I didn't hear the whole thing, but his wife got burnt with some liquid or something.
Yeah, both a wife and a little child.
Right.
10 months old.
But this the child.
Right. And your wife
hold on now.
Okay.
Let me recap for anybody just joined us, including you, Doc. The coffee got spilled in their lap. The hows are not important to this incident.
Right.
They went first to the pediatrician, where the child was treated and not severely burned. They asked the pediatrician to look at the mother, and they wouldn't do that. They sent them somewhere else.
Right. But she had second-degree burn, I imagine.
Well, we didn't know that at this point because the pediatrician wouldn't look.
Well, you would know if she had pain. I mean, there are medical distinctions between a second and a third-degree burn that you could make by asking some simple questions.
Orlando, go ahead. Just tell us.
There probably is no duty to care if this is out of your area of expertise. Now,
well, wait a minute, hold on.
Adult,
Stand by. Is there a difference in a child and an adult in a burn with a burn?
Pediatricians tend not to take care of adults.
That was my question. When you went to medical school, is there a difference, a material difference between the skin of a child and adult in terms of a burn?
Probably not.
Okay.
And Bruce, if I can interject, the doctor, the pediatrician, and see, I'm getting this secondhand, but the pediatrician did examine my wife, and acknowledged the pain. She has a high tolerance of pain, anyways. I can say that from 3 deliveries, but. At any rate, she was in a great amount of pain. He examined her. He looked at the burn, but elected to direct her elsewhere.
Well, see, really, the duty to care is really to prevent ongoing injury, loss of limb, or death.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, under those circumstances, probably none of those criteria were met.
Right, that's correct.
And since it's a second-degree burn and not a third-degree burn, pain means that it's probably a second-degree burn.
What is the difference between those two? Because I really don't know.
A second-degree burn, first-degree burn is something like a sunburn.
Okay.
Red, tender.
Right.
Second-degree burn simply is a more severe burn that you would see blistering, and you might see the upper layers of skin peeling off.
That's okay. And then the next one.
And a third-degree burn is a very severe burn, but that is so severe that the nerve endings in the skin are destroyed. So those are the patients that have, sort of blackened, leathery skin, and they have no sensation of pain. Okay, so
I see.
So a loss of sensation of pain is a much more severe problem.
It was the second. You're right.
Okay, so a second-degree burn that was found not to be potentially causing loss of life or limb could wait an hour or two for an adult physician to take care of an adult patient.
Is what she did, yes.
So what they probably did was an initial assessment.
Yes.
To make sure that she was not in danger of loss of life, limb, or function.
Right.
And then they can reasonably refer that patient urgently but not emergently to another physician.
They met their duty of care because the criteria of emergency, loss of limb or death, or loss of life, those do not apply.
Or loss of function.
Right.
Let me ask you this,
nerve damage or something, or bleeding that needed to be immediately, taken care of, or else the limb would be lost.
Right. Doctor, aren't there not things though that can be done to burns, where immediacy is an important part of like applying ice as an example?
Right.
I would imagine that it would be a reasonable thing to put some cold compresses on. If nothing else, it's going to feel better, at least initially.
Yeah, indeed.
But it's not necessarily going to prevent a secondary infection.
Mm-hmm.
It's not necessarily going to prevent.
All right, let's cut through the nonsense
further injury.
I understand. Let me ask you a serious question, though.
Sure.
If you were teaching a class in medicine, and this was a hypothetical situation that was described, how would you instruct your students to respond?
Immediately remove the source of heat. Some people get burns and get worsening burns because they don't quickly remove the piece of clothing that's saturated with hot liquid.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the first thing you need to do.
Right.
The second thing you would do is to keep it generally clean with wet cloths or wet towels.
Mm-hmm.
That's clean.
Right.
And then seek attention. Okay, you don't.
No, I'm talking. No. I don't mean that. Somebody walked somebody walked into somebody who has a different specialty, but clearly this is the sort of thing that every physician is going to be schooled in. Would you tell them to just send them to somebody else, or would you tell them to give them some kind of treatment to begin with, if nothing else, cleansing it and putting something cold on it?
I would do that.
That's what I was getting to. That's what.
Which not doing
they did not do, right.
But not doing that is not necessarily malpractice, but it may have been a little bit insensitive.
Indeed.
But I don't know that that's an actionable situation.
Well, we got an attorney on the other line. Let's see what he has to say. Doctor, I really thank you very much for calling.
You're welcome.
I really appreciate it, guy. All right, Tampa, it's your turn.
How are you, Bruce?
Hi, I'm just fine, thank you.
I happen to agree with the physician.
Golly, there's news.
Yeah.
Well, not really. As I understand it, this gentleman's wife was not a regular patient, obviously, of the pediatrician.
This is true.
He has no duty to her.
They were in the office, though.
Well, it doesn't really matter. He doesn't owe her any duty. There's no duty. I disagree with the doctor in that I don't even think if this is a life-threatening situation that he's got any legal duty to someone who's not his patient. There's no duty to rescue. In fact, the Good Samaritan laws that you referred to are in place to encourage physicians to render aid and assume a duty that they wouldn't otherwise have.
But let me just argue the other side. You're the attorney. What the hell do I know? But if you hang a shingle out there and it says, I'm a I am a physician.
Right.
A reasonable person would say, I need treatment, and I need it in a hurry.
Right.
And there's a physician behind that shingle, and they're saying, this is where I hold forth. Would seem to me that there's a certain amount of responsibility. If we had the same incident, and the physician was in a restaurant, I'd be completely in agreement with you about duty. But
well,
I think it would differ a little bit in the office.
No, Bruce, where does that duty spring from? It springs
from his license to practice.
No, he has a license to practice that enables him to provide certain services in exchange for pay.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to work for free. He owes a duty to those people who contract with him for the provision of his services.
My wife just added something. Can I throw this in?
Sure.
Okay, she left the pediatrician's office with the name of a nearby general doctor.
Right.
She arrived, and she said that she had never been in the facility before. They rushed her in, like dropped everything and just jumped right on her particular case. And to me, that does sort of illustrate the emergency nature of the situation.
Well, I don't know anything about medicine other than situations in which other experts have told me there have been breaches of care because somebody followed the wrong medical procedure.
Sure.
But I do represent clients against doctors as part of my practice.
Sure.
And I can tell you that in Florida, at least, there is no duty on the part of a doctor to assume the care for someone who's not his patient.
Can I ask you what you would recommend? Would you, as far as recovering our medical bills, right now they're very small, $250.
Well,
I walked in on the middle of this. Did this happen at a restaurant?
Yes, it did.
What happened was, hold it, was not like the McDonald's thing.
No, it wasn't.
What happened was that they have a 10-month-old child.
Right.
And they specifically told the waitress, don't put a cup of coffee in front of the kid. And she did not, but then she was back with a carafe of coffee and puts it within reach of the child. Child spilled the coffee. Immediately,
like within a second, she just was right on top of it. And
was this a chain or a small restaurant?
It is a chain, and they have a store near you. I'm not going to go into.
No, it doesn't matter.
Let me suggest something. Many restaurants, particularly if they're chains, have commercial general liability policies that have a specific provision for medical payments coverage.
Right.
They provide you essentially no-fault medical payments coverage.
Without evidence or admission of liability.
Exactly. Liability is irrelevant.
Okay.
And most big chains who carry, $1 million of liability coverage will have about $5,000.
I'd say 5 or 10K.
Right.
And I would classify this as a medium chain. It's not like
it doesn't matter. That's not the issue.
Make an inquiry. If they have medical payments, they'll provide it to you simply upon your providing the bills to them.
Okay.
Now, if you've got hospitalization insurance,
your
own insurance, and they've paid, they may have a reimbursement clause.
You'd have to reimburse them in all likelihood.
Yeah.
But that's another issue. Hey, gentlemen, we have talked into the end of this half hour, but for the physician that called, I thank you very much, Doctor. I am genuinely appreciative, as well as the attorney from the Tampa area. Perhaps we'll get an opportunity to meet one of these days. This is a Florida conversation. I'm in Florida, and our caller from Orlando. But truly, we are in the other 49 states and the rest of North America. Thanks for joining me, guys. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Danny and I are going to be here this evening from 10 p.m. to 3 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. We do hope you'll join us. That's 10 to 3 Eastern Daylight Time at 800-743-8000. We'll be taking those calls of yours, as you well know, off the air, laying them down on tape, and then broadcasting them at some future date. You're invited to call. Beltsville, Maryland. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce. Thanks for taking my call.
You're most welcome.
Okay, I have a problem. Well, it's not really a problem. It's just I've never heard of this happening before. First, a little background. I'm in the process of buying a house, and as such, there's a lot of money that's flowing through my checking account. Things that I like, lawyers and housing inspections and
all the good stuff.
Yeah. So I had to get a temporary loan from my parents. I had them send me a cashier's check so I could get it into figuring I could get it credited to my checking account right away.
And where were they sending it from?
Upstate New York, Bath, New York. Actually, they hand delivered it to me. We got together this past weekend.
Oh, the reason I asked is so much easier, it would seem to me, to have a wire transfer in this environment.
Well,
Just mention that for futures, that's all.
Okay, anyway, I take the check, I deposit it in my bank account, and I ask when will the money be available. And they told me on Friday they have to put a hold on it. And this is a certified check. And I said, what? Isn't this as good as cash?
No, it's not. Certified check is not as good as cash. Hello?
Yeah, okay.
It's not as good as cash. That's why I suggested what is as good as cash is a wire transfer. That's instantaneous. It's in the account because they have the money. With a certified check, they don't have the money. Mm-hmm. They got a piece of paper which guarantees the money, but they don't have the money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what they told me was that somebody could cancel the certified check.
Well, that's pretty hard to do.
I mean, I'd never heard of that.
That's pretty hard to do, and they're also certified checks have been known to be forged as well. Mm. That's more common than canceling. But either way, if you're trying to move money around in a hurry, the way to do it is by national bank wire. Mm-hmm. You can get it done if you get the order in the morning. I'm not going to get in my bank. I think it's around 10:30. Mm-hmm. It's in another bank anywhere in the country in like 3 hours, and that's ready to draw upon. That's cash in a barrelhead.
Okay, I did not know about that.
No argument, whatever. It's the most expeditious and probably the safest way to move money around. Mm-hmm. What you do is you give your bank the name of the bank it's going to. You need their banking number. You need obviously their name and address, phone number, their number, and then you need the account number of the person you're sending the money to, and their name, and the money goes directly from your bank right into the account of the person on the other end.
Okay.
Just for futures.
Okay, I just had never...
No, I'm surprised the bank didn't accommodate you. You see, if you'd taken that cashier's check are you a decent customer of the bank?
I usually have between $2,000 and $4,000 in my checking account.
How long you been there?
Only 4 months, because I just started a new job down here.
That's a problem, too, because people have been known to... How much is the cashier's check for?
$1,000.
Oh, I thought you had big money. If you'd have gone to an officer of the bank, I have to believe they would have extended a courtesy to you.
I spoke to the branch manager.
Yeah.
And she said no, so I'm thinking that's time to find another bank.
Well, not really. You see, we're back into something that I talk about when I do these flip-flops around the country, and that's called disincentives. Mm-hmm. There is no incentive for her to stick her neck out even a quarter of an inch. Mm-hmm. Because if the check cleared and everything was cool, nobody's going to say, nice job, sweetheart. On the other hand, if for any reason the transaction went sour, it'd be all over her like on a goat. Mm-hmm. And that's part of the problem. Now, I think under those conditions, I would have said, would you please call your main office and let's discuss this. I want to discuss this with an officer. I'm not angry with you. I know you have the rule. That's a great line, too. I'm not mad at you. However, I know the rules, but on the other hand, I know there's somebody out there that can waive this rule. And I'd like to talk with someone at the branch. I take it you were at the branch when this is going on.
Right.
Then I'd have said, they have a direct line. Connect me with your main office. Mm-hmm. I want to talk to an officer. I want somebody with vice president in front or after their name. Chances are what they would have done is called your parents' bank to be confident that this was a legitimate document, and they would have honored it for you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well,
but it ain't cash.
Okay, so if this method then is used again, maybe traveler's checks would be a better way to do it?
No, a better way to do it. How many ways to say it?
Right, I understand that
would be with a transfer, but you could do it with traveler's checks because they are cash.
Okay.
You could do it a credit card for that matter.
Okay, thank you.
All right, my friend. The banks, particularly the bigger ones, or you're dealing with functionaries, I still believe that there's a lot of advantage to the smaller deposit, even the larger or medium-sized depositor, not the big guys with hundreds of millions of dollars, but $1 million or $2 million is not a whole lot of money, to deal with a smaller bank, because you're an important customer to them. When you go into a bank with $100 zillion of assets, your $1 million is not something they're going to get too emotional over. Alrighty, to Napa, California. Hello there.
Hello, Bruce.
Hello,
Thanks for taking
sweetheart.
my call.
You're very, very welcome.
I have just some general questions about investing in a very small company. Actually, they only want one investor, possibly.
That's about it. It doesn't necessarily be small, but that's a kind of a closed environment. What kind of, you say company, what What does that mean?
Well, it's they've developed a screensaver program for computers.
No. Let's start with. Are we talking about a one-horse operation?
Oh, one or two.
That's it. Couple of people, right?
Right.
All right. Anybody can have a company just by forming a corp. It doesn't mean anything.
Right.
You got a friend or two that wants you to invest.
Well, actually, I am calling for a friend of mine that was approached, and I thought...
Well, why did they approach this person? Are they friends with these people?
They're friends, and they've worked together.
All right. Then they see the proper way to put this. I don't mean to I'm not picking on you. But let's put the first person, assuming it's you, right?
Okay.
I got some friends who want to borrow some money from me.
Right.
That's what it comes down to. And when you start saying invest in a company and all that puts a little spin on it that really isn't there, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess if you put it that
They're
way.
loaning money to friends for a business. Now, from there, what do they offer?
Well, see, that's what I'd like to know what to expect, what to ask for.
Oh, I don't know that. How much money's involved? Let's start with that.
The investment would be...
No, the loan.
The loan,
Investment, the shakedown, please.
The loan would be $50,000.
Is that a question or a statement?
A statement.
You said 50,000? It's a statement. They want to borrow $50,000 and either secured by an interest in the business, or indeed, do they want this person to purchase? Are they going to get their money back in theory, or are they just buying a piece of the business?
Well, the number of 10%.
No, hold it. You didn't ask my question, and I thought you've already answered it by the little jag you threw at me. You see, an investment in the company would mean you're buying a piece of the company, period.
Okay.
If you're talking about loaning money to the company, which is what I think we're discussing here, either secured by the company or indeed in addition to, it's another matter. And these are not terms that are interchangeable. Do you see what I'm saying?
Well, I think I'm out of my league here.
I'm not picking on you, but you just can't. What do you do for a living?
Well, I'm basically a secretary office assistant person.
Well, are there not person? I love that. I bet you're young. How old are you?
I'm close to 40.
and you're into that person routine opposed to, oh boy, politically correct language is what I'm getting at. A post person, not a postman.
Okay.
Anyway, what I'm trying to get to, you see.
It's becoming habit.
Pardon?
It's becoming habit, hearing it so much lately.
Yeah, I still say chairman and chairwoman, not chairperson. That sticks right in my throat.
Well,
I think it's nonsense.
It's all the same to me.
Okay, well, God bless you, not to me. I don't like having habits crammed down my throat. But any of them, what I'm trying to get to is that the terms that we're using here are not interchangeable, and they have different connotations. Do you see what I'm getting to? And as a matter of fact, they have some very different legal ramifications, one to the other. Now, I think what they're saying here, and I cut you off and I apologize for that, is that these people have an idea, but they haven't got any money, or they need money to expand the idea. They came to this friend of yours and want this friend to put up $50,000. They're going to pay this friend, I think it was 10% you said interest. Is that correct?
Or 10% of the profits. I'm not quite sure which.
Well, there's a now you see, in the second instance, it would be a, quote, investment, probably a lousy one, but an investment nonetheless. In the first instance, they'd be loaning the money to the company, maybe secured with stock, maybe they get some options. There's a whole lot of things here. But the first thing you got to take a look at is, what are the reasonable chances of this thing succeeding? I mean, let's face it, wouldn't it have been nice to say you bought a little bit of Microsoft at the beginning?
Yeah. Well, the product has been developed. It's out there, and they're looking for this money to expand very quickly to get it out there before copycats catch on and do their own. So it's...
Well, that's going to happen anyway, isn't it?
Yeah, but the more that can be developed and retailed out there, the sooner the better.
Well, if it's really a good product, and it's being retailed now, they could certainly make the product available to one of the mass marketers. For $50,000, you're not going to mass market a product.
I think part of the reason why he was approached was because they want to maintain control and don't want to have someone else, putting their input in. They want it to still be their own baby, but they want to be able to grow faster.
Mm-hmm. Hang on just a minute. We'll take a little time out. We'll get back together, you and I. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. I am chatting with a very nice lady in Napa, California. I do apologize if it appears I'm picking on you, but the terms we get thrown around, these terms can be careless and mislead ourselves. Can we agree on that?
Okay, why don't I see if I can make it a little bit simpler?
Sure. By golly, that would be nice for me, because I need it simple, baby.
I'll try. Let's say $50,000 would buy 10% of this company.
Then,
what does he need to know?
That the company's worth $500,000 or more.
So he should find out, be able to ask questions like how much has been invested, what sort of questions does he need to ask?
Let me tell you something. When they have to go to an individual for money like this, he can ask about the intimate details of their sex life, and they're going to tell him. Simple as that. These people, if they had another source, they wouldn't be talking to your friend. And if your friend is as naive as to have to ask what questions to ask, he may very well get fleeced. And that's what I'm concerned about. If it's 10% of the company's got to be worth at least $500,000 just for him to be getting an even deal. And let me tell you something. If I was loaning half of or $50,000 or whatever it is to a company that had to come to me for the dough, I wouldn't give them an even shake. They're not entitled to it. This is venture capital. Venture capital, they want to shove a needle in your arm, take a quart of blood every afternoon, and get your firstborn child.
Would it be better to talk to an investment counselor or a lawyer about this?
Who?
Who do you contact to find out?
The problem is if he's got to contact anybody, he should put his checkbook away. In other words, this is the kind of thing that you got to know what you're up to yourself. Okay. Venture capitalists must ask for a great deal. The reason is because most of these things, these ideas, fail. Now, that doesn't mean that these people aren't well-intentioned, that they don't, go to church on Sunday or whatever it takes, but they fail. And that failure is part of our system. But when you're asking to invest money for venture capital, 20-25% interest is not unreasonable, plus half the company. Now you say, well, why would they give that up? Because if they don't give it up, they got nothing. That's why.
Okay, so
I'm sorry.
If they already have, they themselves have already invested much more than that in this.
What difference does it make? What difference does it make? They can't get on without this dough, can they?
Not for what they want to do, no.
Well, in that case, it depends on how desperate they are. That's what it comes down to.
Okay.
And usually people that come to someone like your friend are desperate. Or they're not creditworthy. Now, I don't have any problem with loaning money, as I have done, to people who are less than creditworthy. But I expect more, unless it's somebody I love. With one of my kids, a different matter. But if it's a straight business deal, where I might loan money on a real solid deal to 8 or 9%, then maybe I want 25 on a shaky deal. You get paid for shake. Plus, I might want warrants to pick up 25 or 30 or 40% of the company for a penny a piece or something. That's what it's all about. But if you have to go ask somebody, and maybe this is the best thing since ice cream. Don't understand me. Could be. But if you got to go ask somebody, you're better off put your checkbook away. This is not amateur night, I guess is what I'm trying to tell you. Now, if this guy loves these people, that's a different matter altogether. But this should be money he could afford to kiss off.
That sounds like good advice.
I'm sorry if I sounded like I was picking on you, but I have to be careful because, you see, it's not only you and I talking, but there may be at least a half a dozen people eavesdropping on this conversation. And I wouldn't want to mislead them either. You understand?
Well, I don't feel picked on, and I appreciate you setting me straight.
I do wish you well, dear.
Thank you, Bruce.
Tonight, Uncle Dan and I will be here from 10 p.m. right through 3 a.m. taking your calls off the air for broadcast at a future date. We'd be delighted to have you participate. Moses Lake, Washington. Your turn. Welcome to my world.
How you doing, Bruce?
Doing okay.
Say, I've got a problem with my title on my house. There's seems to be an easement.
Seems to be?
Well, okay, there is an easement.
Okay.
And it's in my favor, but it wasn't disclosed to me when I bought the house.
All right. What is the purpose of this easement?
Well, my house sits on the borderline of an adjoining vacant lot. And there's like a 10-foot or 12-foot easement into that lot.
For what purpose?
Just to basically just to have. The wording of the easement's pretty vague. It's just basically I can use it.
Well, what was the purpose of the? I mean, ordinarily easements have a reason: ingress, egress.
Oh well, it's just to use and.
When you say to use, I mean, do what? To throw.
That's all it says. That's the problem. That's what the lawyer said. It's so vague and broad that there's no way to define anything.
Well, you mentioned how big is your lot?
50 by 125.
All right, scale lot.
Mm-hmm.
The lot next door is the same size?
Yeah.
How much is it worth?
With the easement or without it?
Forget the easement for a moment. How much is the lot worth?
Oh, like 7 to 10.
What is your home worth as it stands?
In today's market, about 65.
Why don't you buy the lot next door?
Don't have the money.
Increase the. You couldn't. How much your house worth? 65. How much do you owe on
it? 51.
So you got somewhere on a $15,000 equity. Not much.
Yeah, I thought about that, taking a second mortgage out.
Yeah, I would think that you'd try to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But the easement was granted to you, but we're back
to... It wasn't granted to the owner.
Well, granted, it's running with the property.
Right.
And we're back to the same thing. Why did someone give this easement? What was their intent?
Their intent was, I don't know. The person's dead, and...
That was? I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's no way to find out. You know, we tried, and there's just really no way to find out.
Well, Larry, let me put it another way. Suppose there was no easement. Do you use it now?
Yeah.
How?
My patio's on it.
Oh, they didn't tell me. There's something built on it.
Well, just a concrete slab. And my house kind of runs right on the... I mean, if it isn't over it, it's on it.
It's a zero lot line, huh?
Yeah.
Is that permitted in your community?
No. You got to have a setback.
The setback goes from front to back. It's about a side yard requirement, it's called.
Yeah, that's what they're calling a setback. I guess. I called the city, and that's what they said, from side to side. There may be a different term for it, but I don't know it. But
that's okay.
They told me it was like 5.5 feet from eave to eave.
Mm-hmm. You'd be so much better off if you could figure out a way to acquire. Is the property next door for sale? Let's do it that way.
No, it's not. It's kind of a hostile owner.
What? A hostile owner?
Yeah, that's just the best way to put it.
Why is he hostile?
In my opinion, the elevator doesn't go all the way up to the top, if you know what I mean.
Playing with a light deck, huh?
Yeah.
Well, if it's not bothering you, I guess it's not a problem.
Well, but I want to put a fence up, and I don't know where I stand. There's a partial fence right now on over the easement, but it's only about 25 feet. It's not complete.
Well, I think you're going to have to look to your attorney to find out exactly where you stand.
Well, none of the attorneys around there will do anything.
Well, what is it you want done, son?
Either to clear it up, either to get it a declaratory judgment.
Yeah.
In which case, like we already know, the people that did the easement aren't here anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So there's really nothing to go on. So that's going to cost a lot of court time.
And that means money.
Right. And, well, I think that the closing attorney owes me some money because they're supposed to document it. I contacted the title company, and they've got documents that they sent that easement to the closing attorney.
This attorney that you hired?
Yeah. No, it was the closing attorney. I didn't have an attorney.
Well, then who was you said closing attorney. Who paid him?
I did.
Well, then he's your...
Well, it was both parties.
One attorney represented both parties? Huh? Who chose the attorney? Let's start with that.
Oh, it was the realtor. I know, mistake, but I know. That's how it works.
I don't know what to tell you there. I don't know if anybody owes you anything, but I think your senses are correct. Your instincts are good, but you ought to get the thing cleared up. And it's like anything else. You throw enough money, the attorney's going to listen to you and get it done. I don't know what it's going to take to get it done, however.
Is there any, a malpractice I can go, legal malpractice against them?
I don't know that. I really don't know. That's the fact that the guy represented two parties is a tad unusual.
Well, I'll look over the documents. It's basically more or less, I guess, is going on the bank.
I'm sorry?
I think he was more or less representing the bank.
Yeah, I think that's probably what it was the bank's attorney, and you went in bare and just signed what you were told to sign.
Well, I read everything, and I understood everything.
Well, you're very unusual if you did. I'll tell you, I buy a lot of real estate, and I'm not sure I understand everything.
Well, it took a long time. I asked a lot of questions.
Okay, but the point is right now you're going to have to find yourself somebody to sort it out. And I have to believe that there's some attorney in your area that could handle that, although it may be expensive. I do wish you well.
Well, thanks a lot.
I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Carson City, we only have about a minute and a half to share together. What's on your mind?
Okay, well, my question is, we're thinking of buying a car, and we don't know if we should lease or buy it outright.
Is the car for business or pleasure or both?
A little bit of business, but mostly for personal pleasure.
When you say a little bit of business, what does that mean?
My husband does some private consulting, and there are times that he would use it.
All right, then it's a pleasure car.
Yeah,
then.
really. Mm-hmm.
Okay, because he's just going to and from work. That's a pleasure car. You said it's a luxury car?
Yes. And we have the money to pay cash, but we weren't sure if we could buy a lease.
If you have the money to pay cash in today's world, that's the way to go.
And not get involved.
There's no advantage anymore. You see, there used to be some tax advantages, but they went away with the beautiful thing they did to us in 1986. The only way the interest could be deducted is if you're in a state that doesn't prohibit you from getting a second mortgage, and then if you borrow the money not against the automobile, but against the home, then the interest is deductible. But even there, the spread, by and large, in today's world, is not worth it. But there was a time.
But not anymore.
Not anymore. If you can afford the cash is probably earning relatively little for you right now, and you have to pay a substantial amount to borrow somebody else's. Given that set of circumstances, write that big check. I do wish you well, and thank you so much for your call. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Concord, New Hampshire. Hello there.
I thought you'd appreciate that.
Quickly, how are you voting? I mean,
I'm abstaining. I think they're just a bunch of idiots.
One abstention. Do you know how many people you just made unhappy just now?
Not really.
Mr.
There
Dole.
are a lot of people who feel exactly the way I do. It's an insult to our collective intelligence to present those.
Well, how about the other side?
Exactly.
I mean, you got Mr.
But
Clinton.
Bruce, I think that they missed a sure thing when they did not recruit Newt Gingrich. That would have been a battle royal that I would have enjoyed immensely.
I might have enjoyed it, and I unlike a lot of people, I have actually read and listened to Mr. Gingrich, not what the press says about him.
Exactly.
But I still would not want to see him run for president.
Horns of a dilemma.
I think that would be a major mistake, and I am personally very distressed about what I see and being said in New Hampshire, very candidly.
Well, the country is in such serious trouble that it scares a lot of people, and we're victims, all of us.
Well,
we are at the mercy of all the idiots in this world, which leads me
to tell you now, I got to ask you to hang on so I can wash the blackboard clean, then we'll talk, okay?
Thank you.
All righty, we'll go back to that hotbed of intellectualism and decision, New Hampshire, in just a moment. I'm Bruce Williams. Hello there, how you doing? Hey, I am delighted you popped in. Well, you've done your part. Perhaps I could persuade you to hang out for a while as we talk about you and all the things that make your life interesting and very exclusive. It's true, it's different. The telephone number to participate actively, 800-743-8000. 800-743-8000 from just about anywhere in, on, or around North America. And I'm kind of hopeful that one of these first days, perhaps you and I have an opportunity to chat. In the meantime, just eavesdrop. You might find some of this stuff, aside from hopefully being a little entertaining, might be of use to you sometime in the future. 800-743-8000. 8,000. We begin the festivities, by golly, 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 in Saginaw, as I live and breathe. Hello there. Saginaw Mish.
Oh.
Yeah, I'll be up in your neighborhood next Wednesday.
Okay, good.
Yeah, well, I think we're doing a show up there next Wednesday night.
I'll have to stop by there.
Well, you doggone well better. What's on your mind?
Here's my situation. I'm in the process of moving out of my parents' home into an apartment.
Mm-hmm.
And the telephone company refuses to hook up my telephone because the tenant who lived there before me has a $2,000 telephone bill.
Mm-hmm.
I gave him my social security number, driver's license. I told them they could call my bank, the auto company, to show proof of my address.
What do they say?
Find somewhere else to live.
You gotta be kidding me.
No.
I would be on the phone tomorrow morning to the State Public Utilities Commission.
State Public Utilities?
Yes, ma'am. They have no right to do that. If they think you were one of the tenants that was there before, that's a different matter. Isn't that what they're implying? We go down to Fillmore, New York. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce.
Hi.
How are you?
Okay, what's on your mind?
I'm calling about a problem we have with my fiancée losing her job last winter.
What happened?
She was working for a college, a private Christian college, and somebody she was working with broadcasted it to a few people around the college that my fiancée was living with me and going through a divorce, and they made her resign.
Are both those things true?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, they wanted her to resign or be terminated, and she chose for them to terminate her on those grounds. I guess maybe to some people it wouldn't be too big of a deal, but she had a real good job and it was close by home.
On what, were they objecting to the divorce or the fact that you live with her?
Both things. I guess it wasn't within their, I don't know what you'd say, realm of thinking.
Well, they weren't too tolerant about those things.
No.
All right, go ahead.
But, we don't understand how they can do something like that, though. I mean, she was an excellent worker.
Mm-hmm.
Her supervisor said she exceeded beyond his expectations and beyond. It's just been really hard for her to find employment without driving for over an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And really like being...
Did they give her an alternative?
No.
They didn't say if you stop living with this guy, you can stay on?
No.
Or she was still married at the time, is that correct?
Yes. Yes, yes she was.
Well, you see, in many religious organizations take a very narrow view of people living together.
Yes.
Others just of divorce. Now, whether or not that can be legitimately applied in the workplace is something I don't know.
Well, it's just been hard for us. You know, we tried getting a hold of lawyers. I'm sure we'll talk to you. It'll be a couple $1,000 up front, you know. For costs like that, it's very hard for us to come by.
Of course. I don't know if that's illegal. Tell you what, I want you to hang on a little bit.
Okay.
If there's somebody out there who is in the legal beagle, the labor business, lady was working for, by my caller's definition, a Christian college. They found out she was living with somebody while she was going through a divorce and gave her a choice, quit or be fired. Would that be an appropriate termination? Would that be legal? The number is 703-413-8381. 703-413-8381. I'd be interested if you have some background in this area. Make contribution. 703-413-8381. In the meantime, well, we're hoping that someone will join us. We'll go to, my goodness gracious, what's the name of this place in Missouri? Sykeston. Hello there, Sykeston, Missouri.
Hello, Bruce.
I don't believe my own handwriting here. What's up?
How are you doing tonight?
I'm okay.
Thanks for taking my call.
You're most welcome.
Bruce, I'm looking at a new home. My wife and I have come to an agreement with another party on a home, and I have a bank here in this hometown that will finance it for 8.65 for 5 years on a fixed rate, 5% cap. It can only
slow down. 5% cap, 8 point what?
8.65.
All right.
Of course, you know the Fed went up today, but I can still get that locked in for right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I have an opportunity also to finance with an individual recommended by my stockbroker at a fixed rate of 8%. My question is, going to an individual like that, what to look out for, questions that maybe I should ask.
It'd be no different if it's a fee simple mortgage, is that correct?
That's correct.
I assume that you'll be represented by counsel.
That's correct.
Well, then I take the lower interest rate. What difference does it make?
That's what I was thinking. I just wanted to make sure that I didn't get caught.
Well, assuming I'm making an assumption that they're not going to make any extra demands on you, for additional points or any of that nature.
That's correct.
If that's the case, what difference does it make who loans you the money?
Okay, that's
how long a period? Are they willing to give you the term that you're looking for?
We're going to go for probably a 15-year.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I don't see a problem with it at all.
Okay.
I would have no sweat with that.
Okay.
Good luck, my friend.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Fillmore, are you there or no?
No.
Fillmore?
Yes.
Well, we haven't had anybody to pick up your questions for you. I just don't have an answer for you. I wish I did.
All right, Bruce.
I do wish you well, my friend.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, my goodness gracious. There are so many of these things come along where you run into I guess you're looking for technical definitions, and it's pretty hard to come by. And as I recommend to you regularly, see an attorney, but oftentimes just to get an opinion is an expensive venture. But on the other side of that, not getting an opinion can be disastrous. I think it was in this segment where the guy had a problem with selling his window treatments when he sold a house. It said window treatments. He didn't have a definition of his own mind what that was. And then when he found out, he was an unhappy camper. This is why it's so important when you get involved in any of these things where there's legal documents, the mortgage we just talked about, to have somebody read it line by line. We do a lot of contract work, and there's a contract on my desk here today, and Kathy said, did you do the contract yet? I said, Kathy, it's 4 pages long. That's 2 or 3 hours work. You don't read that like you read a newspaper. You got to read every line, get the highlighter out, stroke it 16 different directions, because if you execute it, you are stuck with that you executed. That's why I believe in using professionals. I do wish you well, guys. We'll be back in a moment. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. We go now to Valrico, Florida. Hello there.
Hello, Bruce. How are you?
Okay.
I need to take advantage of your creative genius.
Well, I'm not sure what that means, but go for it.
Well, I have a background in sales, industrial sales, but I was forced to retire because of blindness. I lost my sight, and about a year ago I was forced to retire.
Uh-huh.
I have opened a small business, embroidered and imprinted sportswear. T-shirts, hats, golf shirts, that type of thing. And because of my blindness, I don't drive. My wife is in a wheelchair, so she doesn't drive. And I'm forced to go into a non-traditional method of selling.
Mm-hmm.
By that I mean I can't go out and make sales calls.
Right.
And, where there are faxes available, there are letters available, that type of thing. But I'm wondering if you have any ideas as to what will attract attention to me and differentiate me from every other competitor that I might have.
Well, you tell me. If you let's put yourself on the other side of the fence for a moment. That's called empathizing, I think.
Uh-huh.
What would attract you? What would to buy your stuff as opposed to someone else's?
There's not really a lot of differentiation because we're all working with pretty much the same suppliers. You're talking price, you're talking quality, service, delivery. I guess maybe a better question, Bruce, would be what would attract your attention to someone in my type of business? How could I get your attention if I were trying to sell you?
Well, that's why I asked the question before. What do you got to tell me what makes you better than the other guy? The other thing's equal. I'd go for price if everything else is equal.
Okay. Well, how do I get that message out?
Well, I would. Let's go the other way. Who do you sell to?
It's custom work. Organizations. It may be somebody selling it using it as a fundraiser. It might be an industrial sales organization selling it as a customer promotion. It might be used as a safety incentive for safety programs in a phone company or a public utility.
Yeah. How do you reach these people?
That's what I'm asking.
How are you reaching them now?
I'm reaching now by telephone.
Just by telephone?
And I was turned down by somebody recently. They said, well, it's hard to work this way. I have people knocking on my door every day, and they're here, and I don't have to deal with them on the phone or fax, that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, if that's the case, I would rather be serviced by somebody obviously coming and showing me physically what they have, too.
Mm-hmm. Well, why don't you think about having an outside salesman?
I have one problem with that is because of disability and a disability policy I have and Social Security, I'm limited as to how much I can make. And for me to put somebody on the road and be limited by what I can make with Social Security, it wouldn't be worthwhile. It wouldn't be reasonable.
Could you not form a corporation? Have the corporation make the money?
That I don't know about. Bruce.
It's only what you, even though you don't pay taxes on the money a corp earns until you draw it down.
Okay.
I don't know that, but I'd check my accountant on that, see if you could form a corporation. You draw a salary from the corporation within the limits of what you're able to take.
Uh-huh.
The balance would stay inside. You could pay you a little more taxes that way, but still, you wouldn't cut yourself out from your benefits.
Okay. But then we're still saying that pretty much that's the way to do it. I've got to put somebody out face to face.
It would seem so.
Okay.
It would seem so.
That's going to be awful hard for me to do, but let me check into your suggestion.
Well, I don't have any other. If your competitors are doing it and you found the hard way that people respond to that, I think you have to meet them on their own turf.
Okay.
Good luck, my friend.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
San Antonio, your turn.
Bruce, about 6 months ago, I called you about a problem I was having when my wife left me and our 2 sons, and then she was divorcing us. And now she was trying to take some stock that I'd given to my children under the Gift to Minors Act. One of my children was about 2 years old at the time. The other was about 5 or 6 years old. And the stockbroker made it very clear to me, yes, you can give it under the Gift to Minors Act, but when they become 18 years of age, you have to bring back the certificates here and reissue in their name when they become adults. He said, and when you do this, it's irrevocable. You can't take it back. And that was about almost 20 years ago. My wife was aware of it. We agreed. We had done that. And now that she left us last year. She's divorcing me. She got a lawyer now, and she wants to claim that as community property, saying that she has a right to that stock because she was not aware at all of what I was doing. And of course she was aware because I have some income tax forms that we had filed with the Internal Revenue, and she did it. It's in her handwriting, and she put on there the dividends that they got. She's well aware of it, but all she did is told the lawyer she's not aware of it. She didn't even know what was going on. She didn't know that I was doing it, and now the lawyer is saying that that's community property. And twice already she's got a continuance because every time they had set up a date to hear the case in court, the first lawyer she got, when he seen that she was trying to take this stock, he told her that he couldn't do anything about that, so he didn't want to represent her anymore. She got another attorney a little over a month ago, and this attorney says he thinks he can get it, and now they have just filed, just today, they served my 2 sons. One is almost going to be 20, the other's 23. And she's suing my 2 sons, saying that we defrauded her and things like that. And yet I did everything legally.
But where are the certificates now? Who has them?
Well, my children have them because years ago when they become 18 years of age, we had to change it from the name. And we went to court today, and her attorney says it is fraud because she says she doesn't know anything about what was going on. And now I was under the impression I've done everything legally, but she's saying, no, I didn't know what was going on.
Well, she's probably not telling the truth. But people do that in court all the time. You have to wait till see what the judge has to say.
Well, we went, because she wanted another continuance, we went today, and the judge going to give her some more time, and now we have our court days coming up next month again, and I don't know what to do.
Well, what does your attorney say?
He said that he doesn't think that they could get that. He said, but she has a right to sue, and he said if the judge says that he believes her, that she didn't know anything about it, although it was given under the Gift of Minors Act 20-some odd years ago, that they can take the stock from the kids, is what he says.
Well, unfortunately, I think you have to be guided by his opinion. He's the guy that's defending you.
Yeah. Well, I just thought I might get your opinion.
Well, you see, it's not a question of what happened, it's who believes what happened.
Yes, sir.
You're saying that your wife knew it all? I don't have any reason not to believe that. She says I didn't know anything. I have no reason not to believe that either. I don't know. I'm not there.
Yes.
It's up to one of you two people to convince the court that you're not lying. That's what it all comes down to.
Okay.
I wish you well, my friend. I'm Bruce Williams. Hang in. This is Talknet. Tampa, Florida. Hello there.
Hi. I've got the answer for that gentleman whose girlfriend was fired.
Yeah, let's recap it.
Okay, she was fired from a private university because she was living with him while she was getting a divorce.
That's correct.
Okay. I did some research for a friend, and as long as it's a private university that is receiving no federal funds, which means no federal scholarships, Pell Grants, anything like that, they can do that because they are a nonprofit organization, and those particular laws for discrimination and that kind of thing do not apply to them. They can set their own rules.
Well, it would be unlikely that you'd have a school that wouldn't have any buddy collecting under the GI Bill or the Pell Grant.
There's a private university that I'm not going to mention the name, that does not, it is a Christian college that does not believe in the mixing of races. They do not receive any federal money of any kind. They do not allow black students. And they are allowed to do it because they are a nonprofit and they receive no federal funds. No one is there on scholarships other than the few privately funded scholarships. Now, if they are receiving federal funds, then she has some recourse, because that is not really grounds for divorce, for dismissal, or she can get unemployment.
Very interesting. I know that there are these private schools.
It's kind of under the same rules that a church is under, that a church is not obligated to, because they're nonprofit and receiving no federal money, and they don't have if they don't have a Head Start program or something like this, they don't have to, they can employ whoever they want. And the same kind of rules apply.
Listen, see, I mean, I can understand what they're saying. If someone doesn't fit into what they perceive to be a moral environment.
Right.
Yeah, it does seem a little bit tough on the individual, doesn't it?
But that's their choice. And that's, everyone, of course, has free choice. But that, as far as from what I understand from what I did checking into, these are the rules.
Those are the options. I appreciate you calling, ma'am. Thank you very much. St. Cloud, Minnesota, your turn.
Hi, Bruce.
Hi.
I have a kind of a career move question for you.
What you doing?
Well, about 6 months ago, I'm in the radio broadcasting business.
Oh, what do you do?
I'm a DJ. And I left a job about roughly 6 months ago. It'll be 6 months in December. That it was just part-time, and I wanted to get some full-time experience. And so I left, and I was at the old job. I was surrounded by a lot of good people who were dynamic about their jobs, and I really learned a lot from them. And I moved out of state for this job, and as it turned out, I'm not liking what I'm doing down here for several reasons, mainly because of the personnel situation down here, people that I'm surrounded by. And I guess my real question is, since I've only been here 6 months, I've given consideration to starting another all-out job search, and I'm just wondering if in your opinion, you think that would be unwise, since I've only been here 6 months. I know future employers like stability.
Well, how old are you?
I'm 25.
How long have you been in the business?
I've only been in 2 years.
I don't think it's going to hurt you very much. You're just not happy where you are now.
Right, yeah. It's just that I don't know. I guess I feel like I was misled a little bit, actually.
In what way?
When I came down here. Well, I came down, I talked to them. They seemed to believe, or they explained to me that it was a great place to work. The personnel was great, the whole bit. And as it turns out, for instance, we didn't have any reliable part-timers when I got here. We had to work holidays, the whole bit. Mm-hmm. And I was led to believe that we would have that time off. I had to barter for Thanksgiving off mm-hmm. because we didn't have people to do that. And I just don't feel that I should have to do that. I feel that should be something that comes with my job, and that's what I believe.
Well, I don't disagree with you if you had some tenure.
Right.
But you don't.
Yeah.
You're in a business, it's a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week business.
Yeah.
And somebody's got to work on holidays.
Mm-hmm.
Now, after you've been around for 10 or 15 years, it's a different story.
Right.
But in our business, most people work on holidays.
Right.
I don't work holidays anymore. I used to. Mm-hmm. And for a couple of reasons. One of them is that talk shows are very difficult, telephone shows.
Sure.
On high holidays, because people aren't listening, they're doing something else.
Right.
But if you're playing music and that kind of stuff, I don't see we have any beef. Holidays are just another day.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Usually they'll work it out where one guy gets Christmas off, the other guy gets New Year's off. Mm-hmm. They're religious holidays. If the guy's Jewish, you get Yom Kippur off.
Right.
Where you trade off for somebody working on Easter.
Right.
But I don't think the fact that you're working holidays enough to get that. If you told me that story, I wouldn't be happy with you.
Right.
As
right.
a percentage
well,
employer.
the other aspect of it is what I mentioned to you earlier. At my other job, I was surrounded by a lot of dynamic people, and this is a rather small town compared to the market that I was in. Mm-hmm. And the people here are they're real complacent in their jobs. And
well, why did you move?
Well, I moved because the money was better and because this was full-time and where I was working was part-time.
Mm-hmm.
And as you well know, I'm not going to get far in the radio business with just part-time experience.
No, well, you're getting you're paying your dues
right.
now.
Yeah, right.
If you find something that's materially better, I don't think anyone is going to complain about you moving.
Right. That's kind of the impression I was under. Being this early in my career, I thought that that's fairly common. I believe that early in your career like this that you would move on fairly often.
Indeed, but I would not say I'm moving on because the people have different ideas and so forth.
Right.
I just say I got a better opportunity and leave it at that.
Okay.
Good luck, guys.
Okay, thank you.
I'm Bruce Williams. Hang in for more. More Talknet. We go to Pittsburgh, PA. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce. How are you?
I am well.
Good. I hope you can help me. You helped me before, so that's why when I have a problem, I call Bruce. I bought a used 91 car in 1992. The car was it was a corporation car.
You mean a program car, you mean?
Pardon me?
A program car, do you mean?
No, I bought it from a dealer, but the corporation was driving it.
What corporation?
I was told not to say that.
It was probably a program car. Go ahead.
Okay, I don't know what that means.
It means a car that was leased to a to a rental company or so forth.
No, from what I understood.
Then it comes back to the dealer to be resold.
Well, from what I understood, the dealer told me that the corporation big shots were driving it.
That's all right. Go ahead.
Well, anyhow, we put in 2 years we put 15,000 miles on this car. All right, the brake light came on, so we took it down to the dealer that we bought it from, and we are having trouble with our anti-lock brake system. Okay, so the anti-lock brake system is leaking, and we have a repair bill of $2,500.
You gotta be kidding.
I am not kidding. And I went and I talked to the owner of the dealership, and I told him that I don't feel that we should pay this $2,500 because we only put 15,000 miles on the car. And I also told them that, he said the warranty was up. So I called the manufacturer, and they're not doing anything for me.
Well, how many miles did you have in the car altogether?
About 34,000 miles.
So you bought it with 19,000 miles on it?
That's correct.
And what kind of a warranty did you buy with it, or did you buy a warranty?
We did not buy a warranty with the car.
Well, I think you're probably stuck then. It's out of warranty. Were you offered an extended warranty?
At the time we bought it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Why didn't you take it?
Because we had another car at that time that had a warranty on it that we never used.
Well, you probably have life insurance and you're both alive, but that doesn't mean it's not a good idea.
Well, my question is basically this company, without naming the company, a few years back had corporation cars that had the speedometer shut off. And I don't know. I feel that this could have been my car. And they were driving around with the speedometer shut off. And how do I know how many miles are on it?
Well, you don't.
I don't know. And I'm just looking for... I refuse to pay $2,500 to have that car fixed. What are my options?
Well, your option is to pay it and sue them or not get your car back and have them sold under mechanics lien.
What would I...
Do they still have the car?
Yes, they do.
They're not going to give it to you to pay them, right?
Well, they didn't fix it. I told them not to fix it.
Does the car run?
Does the car run? Yes.
Have you taken anywhere else to get another opinion?
No, but I have spoken to people, and they said that anti-lock brakes do run that much because they're new.
I'm afraid that if the car is out of warranty, unless you could find information that would indicate that they've had a lot of problem with this, with other models, similar models, then I think it's one of the hazards of owning a piece of equipment.
That's not what I want to hear.
I know that.
So really, if we took them, what would we sue them on? I mean, you know.
Well, that's the question. You'd have to prove that there's something beyond ordinary wear and tear. Things do break down that are mechanical. Some last longer than others.
No, the only thing that the manufacturer said to me, well, I didn't talk to him. It was through the owner. He said that he talked to, like, the representative from this manufacturer.
Yeah, the zone office. Go ahead.
Right. And he said that they would break it down, they would tear this apart, and if it's the piston, they would rebuild the piston, but they're not really sure that's the part.
Well, until you know exactly what the problem is, I don't know how you're going to settle the matter, but when something is out of warranty, clearly way out of warranty, on balance, it's usually your responsibility. Hey, I know it's not easy, kids. Do it right. Give it your best shot. Try and do it right. I'm Bruce Williams. Keep in touch.
She says my vehicle's unsightly. It's a 1994 Ford. I'm sorry, I shouldn't mention the name, but it's a brand new vehicle. She's just she's being kind of stubborn, I think, and I've thought about maybe offering to plant a garden back there, plant a tree. I don't know. I was hoping maybe you could help me out on a way of talking to her and relaying that it's really not that big of a deal as she's making it out to be.
Well, what does the landlord have to say about all this?
Well, that's the whole thing. There's nothing in her lease, I know, that says that the driveway is hers. It would not surprise me if she was told when she rented that apartment that the driveway was hers, though. I've been in property management, and I can just see a leasing agent doing that to rent an apartment.
Well, I'm not quite sure what you're asking me.
What I'm asking you is, could you give me some suggestions on how to talk to her and maybe see things my way and not be as stubborn and not budging as far as not letting me park on that grassy area?
Well, you see, she's telling you that, or I think you said that your car is unsightly.
Correct.
Now, I don't know what that means either. What... That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, unsightly, unless he just doesn't like the idea of anything being there.
I think that's what she's just getting at, period.
If that's the case, we got to go back to the landlord again. Who gets what in this building?
Okay.
It should be spelled out someplace in somebody's lease. Who's responsible? Who cuts the grass, for example?
An outside contractor.
Oh, boy. Okay. You see where I was coming from,
yeah.
don't you?
Right, who cuts that grass?
All right.
Well, half of the grass that I park on is the property, is the landlord that I live at. The other half is the next door neighbors, but they don't see it. They don't know my vehicle's there because there's a privacy fence. and our landlord cuts the grass that is the neighbors, that little 3-foot section.
Well, if you can't work it out with her, the landlord's going to have to work it out.
Okay.
I think that's about the way it comes down.
Okay.
If she is not amenable to making some kind of a compromise, and I wouldn't hold my breath till she does.
Yeah. But as far as offering to, plant a garden, or I was kind of trying to resort from going to the landlord, just because
you can try. First of all, you have to sit down with her and say, what is it you want? Let's see if we can get what you want on the table. Exactly what will it take to make you happy? She'll be able to say, you go away.
Which we're going to do soon enough.
Do you have any? Is there anything else going on? Any other disagreements about something with her?
No. I take out the garbage cans. I sweep the common hallway. I rake the leaves. I don't know why she's complaining at all.
I mean, your kids have had beat up on her kids, nothing like that.
No, knock on wood, I don't have any. But no, I don't know. I think she's been here the longest, and she's seen 2 people come and go from this apartment in the past 7 months. And I think she's trying to think that she's got some seniority, in this building. Which is, rental property is just strictly that. People just come and go. But I think that she's probably trying to hold a little bit of seniority, and I've been here longer, and, I'll call the shots here. But I was just kind of trying to stay away from the landlord. I think kind of work it out amongst us.
Well, I think if you can't sit down with her and say, look, what will it take to make you happy? You got to go to the landlord. Don't bring an ulcer over this.
Okay. When are you going to stop up in the Cincinnati area?
Next time I get invited.
Okay. Someone's got to put the word out. Bruce,
there you go.
Thank you for taking my call.
Good talking to you. I hope it works out for you. It's very difficult in these very close environments. People live in close proximity. There's got to be able to give and take. And if somebody gets their back up, either you give or you get out. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Jacksonville, Florida. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce.
Hello, sweetheart. How are you?
Okay, how are you?
Good.
2 years ago, I called you about buying this business, and you're pretty positive, and I bought it. And now we're 2 years into it, and we're getting bigger than we can really handle.
Well, it's a nice problem to have.
Is it? Okay, good. Well, what my question is, I don't know if it's time for me to hire someone who's a true managerial professional, or just to keep. I just don't know what to do at this point.
Well, what kind of business are we talking about?
It's a tax franchise.
All right, and what is happening to you? Are you kind of a one long operation, just you?
Well, it's me and my husband.
Right.
We went from our first year, we had one territory. You buy these by zip code. We bought one territory, did 700 returns. The next year, we bought 2 more territories, did 2,200 returns. That was this past year. So now I have 4 territories, and we're anticipating doing about 6,000.
Very well.
Yeah.
How many people how many bodies does it take to do that?
It's going to take 75 bodies. I mean, consider
75.
Well, if you count all the part-time people, they're not all. Some will work 5, 6, 7 hours a week. But for everybody you need, when we have the peak week, we make 50% of our money in 2 weeks.
2 weeks a year.
Yeah.
August 1st, or I'm sorry, April 1st, April 15th, huh?
No. The last week in January, the first week in February, my clients are the super fast clients.
You're the people that want their money back in a hurry.
Yeah, that's when we do. I mean, we do good the rest of the season, but I'm sort of in those low-income areas where, we want to get the people that'll pay us $90, $100 to get their return in a day.
Oh, yeah, they want that instant refund.
Yes. And we're doing okay, but last year we got overwhelmed. We got spread a little thin, and I could tell that I wasn't managing and being everywhere I needed to be.
Well, what was the problem?
Well, the problem is I physically needed to be in the store. I hired managers, but we're not paying them that much, and that's why I'm wondering maybe I should pay higher or hire someone who knows more about managing people.
Well, it's okay. I mean, you got to pay to get decent people.
And then you think I'll get the profit return on?
Well, honey, that's a piece of arithmetic that you are going to have to do for yourself. I can't do that for you.
Oh.
Nobody can.
I know. Well, but my question is do you think, though, if I hire the right professional, it could pay off in the long run, though? I'm pretty smart myself. I mean, I'm not doing bad.
Yeah, but the problem is you can't be all things to all people, and
Exactly.
you can't be all places to all people.
Yeah, so how do you overcome this?
You hire professionals, and you may have to take a dip in your income before you go back up again.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know.
Oh, usually it's a step backward.
Because we're pretty far backwards now because we've expanded so quickly. You know, I'm 80,000 at least into this.
80,000 in a hole?
Yeah, well, I mean...
For what?
Well, because we had no money. I've borrowed that much to get the businesses this far.
How much did you gross in 1993?
93, I grossed $115,000.
And 92?
The year before, I grossed $30,000.
And 94, what do you expect to gross?
I expect to gross about $300,000.
Well, it sounds to me like you're growing okay, as long as your expenses are kept in line.
Yeah, I'm getting better at that. That I've got under control.
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of...
You're not going to expand. There comes a point when you have to have managerial people that know what they're doing.
Okay.
There's no avoiding that.
Okay.
I do wish you well, dear.
Thank you.
Omaha, Nebraska. Hello there.
Hi, my name is Erin. I'm calling from Omaha.
Yes, indeed, Erin.
How are you?
I am well, thank you.
Good. I have a couple questions.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know if you'll have time for both. My husband and I just came to Omaha. We've only been here about 2 weeks. We've been job hunting.
Where are you from?
New York.
And why did you wind up in Omaha?
The job situation in Binghamton is awful.
So how did you happen to just choose Omaha?
Well, he's going to school for banking and finance.
In Omaha?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's how you happen to choose Omaha then, I guess. I'll buy that. Go ahead.
To go to University of Omaha, Nebraska.
All right.
So we've been job hunting. He's planning on starting in January, and the first places that we looked at were employment agencies.
All right.
They've been asking huge fees. Like mine is the highest so far. It's they're asking me to pay them $4,000 up front.
Up front before you get a job? I wouldn't pay them 4,000 kopecks up front. Nothing. I wouldn't pay a nickel up front.
They want it if you accept the job.
Well, that's a different matter if you accept the job. That's not up front. That's after you start work. But still, they won't take it in installments.
No.
You say goodbye. Say goodbye. What do they say? They get stuck too many times?
No, they said that there's some kind of a law that if they accept it in installments, it makes them a financing company, and taxation is difficult.
Well, that may or may not be the case, but most employment agencies will take the money over a period of time. Because the reality is that the significant number of job seekers couldn't pay it up front if they wanted to.
I know. It seems like if you're unemployed, how can you afford such a fee?
No, I don't have an answer for you there. I'm surprised that they are reluctant to allow you to pay it. I wouldn't pay them a penny before I got the job, and then you should be able to pay it in installments. How much would you be earning?
Oh, that's the weird part. You see,
Not weird. How much would you be earning?
the first job they offered me was at a fast food restaurant, and they told me that in 4 years I'd be earning $45,000 a year.
Let's talk about this year.
This year I'd be starting at $20,000.
And they want 20% of your first year's pay.
Yeah.
That's heavy, Aaron. Have you looked in the papers and gone out yourself?
Oh yeah, but there's a lot of professional telemarketing and stuff like that out here. But I was looking for something more professional, like maybe sales or I don't know, an insurance company or if I can't find a job in art. I have a degree in art, and it's been very hard to find a job. And
well, it's a tough field. I mean,
it's a tough field. I do have a painting in Scotland that was sold to a private individual in New York, and it was given as a gift to someone in Scotland. So I do have that to my credit.
Yeah, but honey, that's not going to get. This is like getting a degree in music or a degree in acting. They're cute little degrees, but they don't have much practical application in the real world. That's not what you wanted to hear, but that's a fact. There are very, very relatively few employment opportunities in those areas.
Yeah. Well, they did offer me another job, which they asked me to try it out for a couple days before making my decision.
What kind of a job?
It's kind of an art job. It's with a design company, and I do a variety of different jobs. It requires some designing, some decorating, like you would do if you were a window decorator, because they do theme parties. It also requires sales skills, because you have to do in-house sales.
Aaron, well, maybe I don't want to burst your bubble, but that's not an art job for the most part. What they're looking for, party planning, that kind of stuff?
No.
You say in-house sales, what do you mean?
Well, they're a design firm, and
when you say a design firm, what does that mean?
Well,
interior design, you mean?
Interior decorating and stuff.
All right, fine. But then you're still a salesperson, now you slice it.
Yeah, you're a salesperson. I worked for them the past couple days, and we did a show in a hotel. There was a large company convention going on in that hotel, and we decorated the room that the convention was going to take place in.
Yeah.
And it was quite elaborate the way we did it. And my job would be to design the decorations. And
is it a salary job, Aaron, or a commission job?
Salary. Well, for the most part, it's 40 hours a week, and I'm supposed to be starting at $7 an hour.
$280 a week.
Yeah.
Plus commission or without commission?
Without commission, and there's no benefits.
Well, Aaron, this is a sales job, Aaron. You don't need an agency to help you find that kind of a job.
Well, I've been offered another job, and I was hired directly. See, this woman is kind of dragging her feet about whether or not she wants to hire me.
Yeah.
But this other job that I applied to hired me right off the bat.
Is this a job you found on your own?
Yeah, I found it on my own.
Doing what, Aaron?
It's telemarketing.
Well, those jobs are easy to find, too.
Yeah, they're very easy
because
to find.
You're strictly paid on commission.
This one is benefits, full benefits. Plus, it starts at $6.50 an hour, and it's 40 hours a week. They give you a bonus of 75 cents for just showing up, and they also give you bonuses for everything that you sell. So they said that most people average about $10 an hour.
Well, have you talked to some of the people working there?
No, I haven't spoken with anybody that works for them, but I've been told that they're a pretty decent company to work for.
Been told by whom, Aaron?
Well, my boyfriend has spoken with people that he's interviewed with, and they said, "Oh yes, I tell. That's a great company to work for."
Well, it may well be. I mean, I can't pass on that, but it seems to me the kind of jobs that you've been interviewing for do not require an agency to help you for $4,000 or something. I think you're much better off to take one job on your own. And hey, Aaron, if it doesn't work out, you can always go on to something else. I do wish you well, dear. I'm Bruce Williams. We go now to Houston, Texas. Hello there.
Hi. I need to ask you a question. I need to find out where I begin that I'm going to have to force to be filed bankruptcy.
Say that again, please.
I'm going to be forced to file bankruptcy for a family company corporation.
Tell me about it.
We own a trucking company, which is a container hauler here in Houston. We operate with basically owner-operator, so we don't own the trucks. We pay the drivers 80%, they own the trucks.
All right.
We had a major client, or most of our major clients. We had one in particular who is an international multi-billion-dollar corporation.
Yeah. Will they stick you?
No. Well, yes. They hauled containers or shipped them via rail. Here, we would pay the swing charges and move their reposition their containers. So they wouldn't build the merge at the rail yard.
I'm sorry, I don't understand. You pick up
the containers that they go by rail.
Yeah, the railhead. You pick them up, and then what?
We paid the swing for the rail charge.
What does that mean? I don't understand what that means.
We paid the rail yard charge to put them on our chassis, and we hauled them off the yard to avoid storage and per diem.
I see.
We were facing a strike, an unofficial strike, because it was not a union. They were trying to pull up a container haulers union. The rail yard was not recognizing the strike because they were an unofficial union. We faxed and then certified to most of our major companies, and this one included. This is going to happen. Stop shipping. We're not going to be able to get them off the rails. Well, this particular client flew down, or the president of that subsidiary flew down. We met with the railroad, and the railroad said, not going to be a problem. We said, yes, it's going to be a problem. Well, when the strike came, the unofficial strike came, I mean, it's documented, newspapers, television, you couldn't get anything out of the rail yards in Houston.
What's an unofficial strike?
The union was not recognized. It was not an official union, so the railroad did not recognize it as a strike.
I see.
If they had recognized it as strike being union, then all charges would have been waived. But
I see.
Since the container haulers that were walking out, our trucks, our owner-operators did not walk out, but the situation that was created for a week here is the rail yards were basically a standstill. People were getting shot crossing into them.
Mm-hmm. And so the storage charges were building up.
The storage charges were building up.
And you're responsible for those?
No. The railroad sued the owner, the international company.
Yeah.
They have in turn turned around and sued me. Mm-hmm. It's taken so long, I can no longer afford to fight it. I mean, they are breaking me. But we're talking upward to $300,000 in storage charges because they chose not to redeem their containers. They've continued to allow them to build storage. I think morally and legally, I notified them that I could no longer, that this was going to happen. Our other customers chose to divert them to a less busy yard in one of our little subsidiary towns, and that went fine. They chose not to, but they're going to break my company. I cannot afford the judgment. My question is, do I need a CPA? Do I go with one of these lawyers that advertise on TV? Where do I find my specialty there?
Well, I think you want a lawyer with a good reputation in bankruptcy matters. I don't know what a CPA is going to do for you.
See, that's why I don't know what I'm looking at. I own no assets. I do. All of my receivables are tied up in a factoring company. So I don't even own my own receivables. So primarily, I own my customers, the business I'm doing now.
Well, I think a decent bankruptcy attorney could probably take you through Chapter 7, and you'll open up under a different name.
Well, primarily that's my only recourse right now, because when they start attaching everything, because I can no longer fight them. They put more delays. They have lawyers on staff.
What can they attach? You said you haven't got anything.
I'm assuming they can probably attach the factoring company, where they pay, my receivables. They actually buy my paper.
Yes, I understand.
So if they get a judgment, could they not lien on my factoring?
But I'm not competent to answer that. I don't think it's important. Your question is, who do you get to help you? And the answer is a good attorney, one who is knowledgeable in the laws of federal bankruptcy. That's all.
Okay, how do you begin shopping?
Well, do you have an attorney now that represents your firm?
Yeah.
Call him or her.
And they will put me into...
Well, they may say I can handle it myself. They may be perfectly competent. But explain the circumstance that you want to know what experience they've had in bankruptcy and where would we go from there? Or would they prefer that they recommend somebody else? If they're decent, they'll either say, yes, I'm competent, or no, I prefer to get a colleague involved.
Okay. Well, basically, I want to know where to begin shopping. I don't want out of the fire into the frying pan.
That's the place, I believe. I do wish you well there.
All right, thanks.
Hang tough.
All right.
It's very difficult when these big firms will force a small company in a position of that kind. They make a bad judgment and look for somebody else to bail them out. Happens regularly. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Queens, New York. Hello there.
Hello. Thanks for taking my call.
Oh, you're most welcome, dear. What's on your mind?
Yes. Now, I have a PhD in chemistry, and...
I'm sorry, you have a what?
I have a PhD in chemistry.
Okay.
And you would think that it would be very easy for me to get a job, especially that I'm a minority, and I did a lot of publications, etc.
You're published, you're female, you got a PhD, and you still can't get a job.
Yes, black female, still can't get a job. So what I've decided to do is to go back and do my MBA.
What for? Why can't you get a job? Let's start with that. As best you were able to tell me.
I don't know. I have sent out a lot of resumes, and I just can't.
Well, you know my idea. Resumes are pretty much worthless. How many companies have you contacted personally?
Several top companies too. And I'm involved with organizations, professional organizations, and I have been looking for a job over the past year. And all I've been getting is part-time work at the university as an adjunct professor, which is next to nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And
are you prepared to move out of the area?
Well, I'm looking in the tri-state area, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut.
Yeah, but my question was, are you prepared to move?
No.
Why?
Well, I just bought a house, and all my, friends and family are in the area.
Well, that's part of the problem. When you're looking for a professional position, the lack of flexibility can work very much against you.
Yeah. I know that. So what happened is I am very, very much interested in business. And actually, someone approached me, an investor approached me and offered to give me money to start up a business.
What kind of business?
It's developing flavors for beverage companies. And but it's taking some time to kick off. And I just thought that in the meantime I should do my MBA.
Well, certainly. How old are you?
34.
See, retreating back into academia is a common, I can't make it in the real world, so I'll go back into academia. It's a common back into the womb kind of mentality. I don't think that's necessary. You can be tremendously overeducated. You've already got your terminal degree. I got and did some work for myself. Now, if you can't find something directly in your own line, find something parallel.
Yeah.
That means making some compromises. Have you been offered nothing?
Nothing, yeah, that's it. I was told by the employment agencies, as well as other people, that companies prefer to hire people with just a bachelor or master's than someone with a PhD.
Only because they make the pay more, depending on your skill level. And you got to make it clear when you apply to these companies, you're looking for an entry-level job. And you'll take a job that where a master's would be sufficient. And you'll work at that pay level.
Yeah.
I mean, I know a young woman who was applying to one of the major broadcasting companies. And the job only required a high school education. But everybody that ever held that job, including her, was always a college graduate.
Yeah.
They were willing to come in to work for $5 or $6 or $7 an hour just to get their nose in the door with that network.
Yeah.
And that, so the job description only called for high school. But before she was there and while she was there, everybody had a college degree, minimum of baccalaureate, some a master's.
Yeah.
And I think what you're going to have to do is reconcile yourself to the fact that you may have to start at a level below the PhD level.
Yeah.
And make that clear to prospective employers that you're willing to do that.
Yep. Okay.
I do wish you well, dear.
Okay, thanks.
Take good care. Stafford, Texas. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce.
Hi.
Listen, I've got a question, and I want to make sure that I phrase it right so that you understand what I'm asking.
Mm-hmm.
My wife has investing through her company, funds matching.
Like a 401 or something of that nature?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I don't know, I'm happy that she has that and so forth, and we kind of leave it alone.
Here comes a big but.
Yeah, the report came back that we had a loss.
Well, that'll happen.
Okay.
What else is new? You don't think any investment form, other than something such as a treasury, is going to be free of any risk. It's over you take a look at the.
It's in one of the aggressive funds.
All right, you got to take a look at the 10-year average and see where you are.
Okay, but so
that's what we got to talk about.
Well, that is my question.
How old are you guys?
We're 30s.
Okay. And how is this fund done over the last 5 years? Hello.
Looking at the grass, I'd say that it had. I'd say that it's been in growth numbers, all with the exception of 1990 was a loss year.
Right. That's going to if you're in a highly leveraged growth environment, you're going to have good years and bad years. Now, if you aren't able to handle that, and some people aren't, then I assume that you have other choices where you can invest in a much more conservative fund that'll always do well, but not very well.
Okay, but when I don't mind thinking in terms of the long run.
All right.
With the exception of, and I guess this gets at the heart of the question, which is there are books that are being written and there's talk that there really isn't a long run. That
let me explain something to you.
Okay. And I want to know your opinion.
Well, I'm going to draw an analogy. I've used this analogy regularly, so I apologize to my regular listeners. Okay. I had a guy that I think a great deal of, was at one time editor of the New York Post. His name is Jerry Nachman. You'll see him on national television from time to time. I've known Jerry for 15 years, I guess. Okay?
Okay.
He was, as I said, he's had so many great career jobs. One of them was editor of the New York Post, which is a major metropolitan newspaper, right? And he was criticized for some of the front pages, the flamboyant tabloid type stuff. And what he said was, airplanes that land safely are not news. Now, how does that apply to what you're talking about? If you write a book that say things are well and so forth, you're going to go nowhere.
All right.
But if you want to write a book and say how to avoid the big crash in '96, that's going to sell.
Okay.
Well, that's what you're going to read. Only the Chicken Little stuff. I remember very vividly when I was doing local radio in New York City. From time to time, I did a show similar to one that you're listening to now, but I also, from time to time, used to fill in for some of the other hosts who did interview shows. I interviewed a lot of the makers and shakers of the world. I mean, the major league players and big politicians and that kind of jazz, as well as authors from time to time. And I remember very distinctly interviewing this author of a very, very a hot-selling book about the coming crash and how to avoid it, right?
Right.
The crash never came. But he sure made a ton of money.
Okay. So the debt levels on the government not
the world is going to go on without regard to all this stuff.
And you don't think that they will start, that the borrowing is at a pitch where they're at a point of no return?
No, I don't think
that they will come back and pay less than what's owed on the debt?
No, I don't think so. They'll keep printing money before they'll do that. Any more than I think, and I could be mistaken, that they'll ever take and say in 24 hours all the $100 bills in circulation are no good.
Or come back and pay less than they should on the bonds.
No, I don't think so.
So,
you hear stories from time to time where they are going to issue new currency, if that's clear. Okay. But they are not going to say suddenly that it's $100 bills because all these drug people have. It's always the drug people. Nobody else has money hoarded but drug people. You realize that?
Yeah.
Which is a lot of crap. But the point being that they're not going to do that. And why? Because if you did that once, the world that has taken refuge in U.S. currency will never do it again. I mean, there are people all over the planet that have stashed their money in U.S. greenbacks because they know it's good. It may go up, may go down, but it's still good. When I was in mainland China, people would show me their green money just to show that, they know where to keep their dough. I don't see that happening, nor do I see us defaulting.
Okay, and you think that if they did anything, they would just raise the...
Well, suppose they did. What would you say would be a way to insulate yourself from this? There's only a couple of things. Precious metals.
Yeah.
And what happened to the guys who were predicting the $1,500 an ounce gold? Where are they? They're running for cover. Are you a college graduate?
Yes.
When you were in college, there were guys out there flacking, and one I can think of in particular, put all your money in gold, $1,500 ounce gold is coming. Went to 300. End of story. I got to turn you loose, my friend. No, I don't think the Chicken Little is accurate. The world is not coming to an end. That would not bother me at all. If it does, I'm going to go broke with the rest of them. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Going down to the west coast of Florida to Largo. Hello there.
Hi, how are you tonight, Bruce?
I'm very well, thank you.
Good, I appreciate you taking my call.
You're very, I was in Largo a couple nights ago.
Oh, were you?
Yes, indeed.
You're not too far from where we are.
That's true.
Yeah.
What's on your mind?
Well, I recently found out that a used car that I purchased a year and a half ago had sustained some major damage before I had purchased it.
How'd you find that out?
Well, I loaned the car to my brother-in-law to go on vacation, and he ended up scraping a little bit of the front fender, scraping the paint. So I took it to a body shop that I know the owner very well, and he put it up on the rack. And as soon as he looked at it, he said, "Well, did you know that this car had a lot of existing damage? It had been in a big accident, rear-end collision." And I said, "No, that's news to me." And he suggested that I, contact the dealership that I bought it from to see, what we could come to agreement on.
Yeah. So did you do so?
Well, I did so.
What'd they say?
Well, I talked to the sales manager, and he told me that basically that in Florida, by state laws, they don't have to disclose any facts of prior accidents to a buyer.
But maybe, I don't know that to be true. Maybe the case may not be.
Yeah,
easy
I
enough
found
to
out legally on that.
Well, easy enough to find out.
Yeah, I have a brother that's an attorney.
Well,
he's very busy, but he said he would help me out with
He could find that out in 15 minutes.
Yeah. And
but there's another thing that you bought this used, I take it.
Yes, I did.
Did you have the car inspected by anybody before you bought it? If it's so apparent just on the top of a lift, then an inspector would have found that out before you bought it.
See, foolishly, I didn't.
Well,
we had been looking for a particular vehicle for about 3 months, and the dealership called me and said, "Hey, we finally got what you were looking for. Why don't you come on down and take a look at it?"
Well, let me ask you this: has the car given you any trouble?
It's starting to.
Well, how many miles you put on it?
I've only put about 18,000 miles.
How many miles on it overall?
66.
Well, it's getting to the age where you're starting to have problems.
But it's not mechanical. Well,
are the problems in your best dispassionate, there's a happy word, dispassionate judgment, are the problems connected with the accident?
Yes.
What give me one example?
Okay, it's actually a minivan, and the rear hatch, it doesn't always shut properly. I mean, you really have to slam it hard.
That's minor league stuff. That could probably be an adjustment.
Okay. And the window around the back, that leak.
Well, that may not have anything to do with the accident.
Yeah.
The only real damages you sustain so far, and I've got to let you go, is that the resale value would be diminished if a more astute buyer comes along.
Sure.
And that you might be able to negotiate. But check with your lawyer brother and see if what this guy tells you is true. If it is, I think you probably learned a very expensive lesson. If not, let him litigate. Thanks for the hour, kids. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Now to Tribune, Kansas. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce.
Hello there.
I can't believe I got a hold of you.
Well, I'm very happy that you did, Guy. What's on your mind?
Well, first I want to tell you, I want to thank you for all of the many hours of good advice you've given, and it's kept me awake on times when I've been sleepy and had to keep working.
Well, I'm glad we can stimulate you as you're working. What's on your mind, Guy?
I've got a problem I need to take care of tomorrow, so I'm glad I'm going to get a hold of you.
What's happening?
I am a part-time satellite salesman, and
You mean satellite? You mean satellite dish?
Yes, home TV viewing.
Okay, not the satellites themselves. Go ahead.
Probably if you had $40 million, I could get you one of those, too.
Yeah, well, that's another a lot more than $40 million, let me tell you.
Anyway,
ask AT&T about their last failure.
I finance some systems myself on a program that I call a rent-to-own program.
Yeah.
And we signed a contract with them, and we stayed a set amount for them, and they agreed to rent it for at least 12 months. And then after that period of time, they can tell me to take it back, or they continue to rent it and eventually own it.
All right.
But there's a certain set of guidelines that they have to follow, and a couple of those things, for instance, is make rental payments.
Yeah.
I've got this one customer that violated some of these points, and so I wanted to remove
What points? To be specific. They aren't paying you. Is that the point?
He's behind on payments.
Yeah, what else?
And he skipped the country and took the satellite with him.
Well, you mean the dish with them?
Yes.
You keep saying satellite. It's a dish.
Okay, we'll call it a dish.
What else is it?
It's actually a TVRO system, if you want to call it that.
What is
call
that?
Call it a dish.
Oh, no, tell me what that is.
TV receiver only.
Well, it's still taking a signal off of a transponder or a series of transponders, right?
Right.
Well, it's got to be. What else is it if it's not a dish?
Okay, we'll call it a dish.
Well, no, you see, I'm serious. I want you to educate me. What else would we call it if we didn't call it a dish?
Yeah, well, a lot of the people in the community call them dishes or satellites, depending upon which then they like to call them.
Well, it's not. If you call a fish a bird, it's not going to grow feathers. I want to know what you're seriously. I mean, educate me. Is it not a dish and the appropriate electronics that convert what the dish brings in to a signal?
It's a satellite dish, I guess, is what we would call it, because it receives the satellite signal.
Yeah, I don't know what else you could call it.
But anyhow, here's my problem.
He took off with it, you say?
He took off, but I located him.
Yeah, where? Another country, you said?
About 70 miles away from here. And I finally found out how to get a hold of him, and I was able to talk to his answering machine, but he wouldn't return my call.
Naturally. He stole a dish from you.
Yes.
What's going to happen in that business?
Well,
people that rent furniture, people that rent cars, anything that's not screwed down, from time to time, we're going to have these things disappear. It's part of your overhead.
Right. But I have an opportunity to go get it back. But here's the problem.
Yeah.
He moved in with a cousin.
Yeah.
And he went to work at the same place of business his cousin was working.
Yeah.
Now, he and his cousin are also renting this home that they live in. They don't own it either.
Yeah.
All right. Since then, the guy I rented this dish to, he has now left that job, and he's trucking somewhere in Illinois or somewhere, so he's gone. He's out of the picture. The problem is the cousin won't let me come pick up my equipment.
What is it, outdoors?
The dish is outdoors. The receiver is inside.
Well, you have to. How much is the thing worth?
He still owes me about $1,200 on it.
What's it worth is what my question was. What he owes you is not important. What's it? If you had it in the back of your store right now, what is it worth?
I could get that out of it.
Could you? That's what's worth going after that.
Yes.
You probably have to go through the court to get a court order. You see, you retain ownership to this thing. You have the documentation to prove you have ownership. Is that not true?
Yes.
I mean, by serial number or something of that nature?
I have the serial numbers. I have a signed contract.
Okay, forget about the sign. You have the serial numbers and you have the ownership. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. Do you have an attorney?
Yes, I do.
Then contact your attorney and find out in your state what is required, because you've maintained title to this thing. To what kind of a court order is necessary to go in and grab your stuff?
Well,
that's what it comes down to.
Part of my problem, though. The employer tells me that this cousin is going to lose rent on this home, and he's also going to be moving, and so I need to expedite.
Get hold of your lawyer.
Yeah.
You might be. I mean, there has to be a way in your jurisdiction to make this happen. I don't know what that is, but that's what you pay attorneys for.
Okay, what do you do though? The guy is missing, so
Again, we're back to the same thing. I don't think you're listening to me. There are remedies available to you. I don't know if you can break the door down. I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah.
But that's what you're going to have to find out and pay for that from your attorney.
Talk to my lawyer first.
Absolutely. Find out. And furthermore, did your attorney prepare the contracts that you're using?
I had an attorney that filled out this contract, and he has since moved out of this community.
All right. Okay. The answer is no.
Since then, so no.
You haven't what?
Since then, I've had no need for a lawyer, so I haven't retained a...
But you don't have an attorney right now.
I do not have one now.
Well, then when I asked you if you had an attorney, you said yes. The answer should have been no.
I thought you asked me if I had an attorney fill out this contract.
No, do you have an attorney? The answer is no.
No.
All right. The new guy may or may not say that this thing was drawn correctly and strong enough, because the contracts that I have seen were the rent. First of all, let's face it, the people you deal with rent to own, by and large, are people who haven't got anything.
It's a risk proposition, yeah.
Well, that's a fact. I mean, I'm not criticizing him. That's a fact of life. So so listen to me. You get a lot more money in rent than I would pay in rent, because I'm a solid citizen.
Sure.
All right. So that's part of your risk, is losing these things from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
But you also ought to spell out the remedies in your contract and give you all sorts of rights in your contract to get your stuff back if in any way the contract is abrogated. And that's what your attorney is supposed to do for you.
Yeah.
And at the whole
did, except he moved it from the premises. So.
Well, I understand all that, but there have to be remedies specifically spelled out in there as to what you can do once he violates it. You understand? He agrees in advance. You can go in and take his firstborn child, whatever it takes. That's why you want a contract in your favor. Good luck, my friend. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Belleville, Illinois. Hello there. Welcome to my world.
Hi, Bruce. How are you?
I am just fine, thank you.
Good. I'm laying here in bed.
You're not.
To you.
Oh, my Lord, we're having a stagnation.
Well, I'll tell you what. After putting in about a 14-hour day.
You don't want any stagnations?
No.
All right.
And
Son of a
I came
gun.
home and heard you were taking calls, and I thought, I'm going to jump at the chance.
Well, you jumped in just in time. What's on your mind, lover?
Well, I have a question about clearing up some credit. I had some credit problems during a divorce and spent a lot of time and energy paying back everything that I owed everybody.
Uh-huh.
And I bought a house, bought a car, the whole business, and recently applied for another credit card and was turned down. And when I got my credit report, there are about 5 companies that have not removed their names from this credit report. They've been paid.
Slow down.
They've been paid completely, and so I come.
Well, wait a minute. Slow down. Now, what does it say? Does it say the money is still outstanding, or does it say that this problem existed? There's a difference.
No, it indicated that the problem existed.
And that's going to be there for 7 years.
7 years.
After the last transaction.
Okay, so...
If you paid it off on January 1st, we'll make it 1994, it'll be there until 2001.
Okay, well, I paid it off about 3 years ago.
Well, it's got 4 to run then.
Okay, so I'm really confused. How can I buy a house and my credit's okay, but I can't get a credit card? I mean, I have one credit card, but I want an additional credit card.
First of all, there's a difference in a credit card and a house.
Well, that's true.
The house is concrete. If you use the appropriate term, it's collateral.
Okay.
A credit card is non-collateral, unless it's a collateralized credit card, which is certainly a minority.
Right.
The credit card company is loaning you money on your signature, effectively, with a regular credit card.
All right. Is there any other way of getting these things removed?
No, that I know of, man. Not if they're true. Now, no, that's not altogether true. There are some rather devious maneuvers that can be made in some cases to get stuff off. And I use the word devious very deliberately.
I can be devious.
Well, I don't agree with those. I'm not going to give you an education how to do that.
Okay.
There are some things that you can do. Now you got me in a trap here. And I do a commercial for a company that will tell you in some ways how to do that stuff.
Right.
Because I think that the overall book that they put out is exceptionally well written and gives you a lot of information about your credit. But I tell you up front, they also tell you some ways to get stuff removed that I have no sympathy with. But on balance, it's a very good piece of material. And getting rid of some of that stuff is not going to be a big deal. You say you have a credit card?
Yes.
And you got a house?
Yes.
What's the problem?
I don't know.
What is there lacking in your life?
Well, I'd like to have another credit card for emergencies.
Well, hold on. Take a deep breath. What's wrong with the credit card you have now?
It has a low limit on it.
Well, then try to get the limit raised.
I did, and they used a credit report and said, we're not going to raise your limit.
All right. How much do you have on the card?
How much do I have as a limit?
Yes, ma'am.
$500.
Oh, that's pretty low. I'll grant you that.
Yes, it is.
Now, do you have any money?
No, I don't.
Well, that takes care of you could get if you had, say, $2,000 in cash, you'd get a $2,000 credit card for collateralized card.
Yes, I realize that.
But I think you're going to have to live with this for a while.
and just be real careful.
Be real careful, that's right.
Okay, well, I'm glad I called you, and I really enjoy your program, and thanks for the opportunity.
Well, it has been a pleasure. Snuggle up, baby.
Okay.
Get back in that sack.
Thanks.
I'm Bruce Williams. Hang in for more. This is Talknet. Peoria, Illinois. Hello there.
How you doing, Bruce?
Doing well.
Good. I recently bought a computer about 6 months ago,
Yeah.
and I basically use it to mess around with.
It's a toy.
I have a program that draws art, so I went out and drummed up some work, got some freelance artwork.
Mm-hmm.
My question is, when this company pays me, what do I have to do to keep Uncle Sam happy?
You got to file a quarterly estimated return if, in fact, you're going to owe extra money. So let's talk about that. How much are they going to pay you?
They pay me $5 per piece.
Well, what does that amount to in dollars? How many dollars?
It's about $150 a week.
You have to, for a week?
Yeah.
Every week?
Yeah.
For how long?
As long as I want to do it.
Well, you have a regular job?
Right.
How much do you earn there?
Oh, about $32,000.
Well, what you can do, instead of, if you can file quarterlies if you want to, what you also could do is just lower your deductions, or put another way, increase your withholding on the job that you have. That will cover any tax deficiency you may have at the end of the year.
Okay.
So as long as you have enough money in your account to pay your taxes, there's no problem.
Right.
So you can do it that way. But for the kind of money you're talking about, that's what I would do.
Okay.
Just increase your withhold. Are you making 32? You married? What?
Yeah.
How many? I'm looking at dependents. How many?
1. 2, I have a wife and a kid.
All right, so it's 3 dependents.
Yeah.
And that's the only income? Your wife's not employed?
No.
Okay. So you're going to increase it from 32 to 40 or thereabouts, right? I would say you want to have an extra $2,000 taken out. That should cover you somewhere in that ballpark.
Okay.
So make it $50 a week. Make it easy on yourself.
Okay.
Have your regular employer just take another $50 a week.
And then of course, file it like regular at the end of the year?
Yeah, then you're going to have to show the $7,500 as additional income.
Okay.
But that should get you down to pretty clear to a wash situation.
Right.
I do wish you well, guy.
All right, thanks a lot.
Hey, congratulations on finding a new source of income.
All right.
Wichita, hello there.
Hello.
Hello, baby.
This is great. This is the third time I've spoken with you. And
Holy smokes.
Yeah, and the third time I'll be receiving advice.
Our neighbors are going to start talking about us when we keep this up.
My question is, this weekend, my sister is being married, and they have invited 100 of their closest friends to go with them on their honeymoon.
You're putting me on.
No, we're going on a cruise with them.
Oh, who's paying for the cruise?
We each had to pay our own.
Oh, okay. Not as generous as I thought there. Okay, you're going on a cruise. Go ahead.
And we're going to Freeport and Nassau.
From
Orlando.
No, you don't take a cruise from Orlando.
Port Canaveral.
The last time I looked, Orlando was a long way from the east coast of Florida.
That's kind of what I thought, but then it's from Port Canaveral.
All right, that's a little bit different. Okay, so you take a weekend cruise, is that it?
4 days.
Okay.
And my question to you is, what would you do one day in Freeport, and then we have 24 hours in Nassau? And what would you do?
Not a whole lot.
Oh, great.
In Freeport, there's not a hell of a lot to do. Go swimming, go to the casinos. That's about the size of it. You can, and the same thing is true in Nassau. There's not a whole lot to do in either one of those places. You can go to Nassau. They have the famous straw market. If you want to, you can see all of the native crafts and whatever. That's kind of famous. You can go over to Paradise Island. There's the main shopping street in Nassau, which never did a whole lot for me, but then that's another story. You may or may not find it. It's a pleasant place. Go on the beach. There's nothing, but there's a sport looking for high points. I don't know of any.
Well, that's what I wondered, if there were some ruins to go to, or your typical tourist trap, or
not to mind. No ruins, except some of the hotels might qualify. There are some decent beaches. When you're going to be Paradise Island at night or the daytime or both?
Well, we're going to be at Nassau, they said, for 24 hours.
I'm talking about
Paradise. Yeah, and it doesn't mention that at all.
About Freeport. No, it's Freeport.
Okay, they will be there.
I said Paradise Island, forgive me. How long are you going to be in Freeport in the evening?
No, but we will be in Nassau.
They keep going, no. I want to know, when you leave Freeport? What time of day?
4 p.m.
Well, that's no good. There's a restaurant. You were looking for places to go.
Correct.
In Freeport, there is a restaurant, which is kind of cool because every night about 7 o'clock, they feed the sharks.
Ah.
And, you're sitting there, and they ring a bell, and you go over there, and all of the sharks seem to know, and hundreds of sharks come up to the edge of the This is the same water you were swimming in very shortly before. And the sharks have a feeding frenzy there, which is not the kind of thing you want to see every day, but it's sort of fun to watch once, but it's only in the evening, to my knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't do that. You can rent a motorbike if you wish, or a motor scooter in Freeport to run around on.
Mm-hmm.
Just to have something to do. There's not a whole lot. There's nothing to see that I can think of. They had nice beaches and a couple of casinos. That's it.
Well, that's kind of what I figured, but I wondered what you would do if you were there.
I'd probably hang out on the beach or maybe go inside and play some cards.
Mm-hmm. As far as a restaurant in the evening at Nassau.
I don't know of any that I'd recommend. There was only one that I used to go to, and that is no longer there.
Okay.
It's anything special.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you go up to the hotels on Paradise Island. There's several major hotels over there, and a couple of casinos, which you'll probably want to visit. But I'm sure there must be was one restaurant that I had gone to on several occasions in Nassau, and the last time I was there, it was a franchise rib joint.
Oh, gosh.
So it's a decent franchise, but I didn't, that wasn't what I had in mind for a meal.
Exactly.
But now that I think about it, there are a couple of German restaurants in Nassau which you might want to seek out.
Okay.
But these are nice places to visit, but there's nothing special in the Bahamas.
Well, I figure we'll be doing it with 100 people.
I only got a couple of seconds here, but this is your sister getting married?
Correct.
And 100 people are going to go on this cruise together?
Mm-hmm.
How much does she make on this?
Nothing.
You got to be kidding.
No.
Boy, did she screw up.
Well, I guess so.
How much are you paying a piece or per couple?
Per person is $764.
Per person?
Uh-huh.
$1,500. That's $75,000 in fees generated.
Yeah, that's amazing.
They would have given her a free wedding.
I do know they get free rooms. And
big deal. They would have given her. They would have paid for her whole wedding. And I'm serious, and then some.
Uh-huh.
They'd have certainly paid her 10% for a deal like that.
Oh, that's a good point.
Well, it's too late now.
Exactly.
Hey, have a great time.
I will. Thank you.
What a cool idea. How old is your sister?
She's 28.
And how old the average guest go on this little excursion?
Oh, gosh. Bruce, they've been dating for 13 years, so all those kids, because I'm over 40, all those kids are between 25 and 30, and then the parents, and then us, the 40-year-olds. So
that'll be a wild trip.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
I'll bet you are. Have a great time.
Thank you.
I'm on tying cans in the car, just go on the honeymoon with them. Right. Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Fargo, North Dakota, it's your turn in my world. Hello there.
Hello, Bruce. It's a pleasure.
Well, thank you.
How are you, sir?
I am well, thank you.
Hey, I've got a deal coming up here soon. We're forced to sue an ex-landlord over a security deposit that they refused to refund to us.
Not unusual.
It's kind of a unique situation because they sold the home. We rented for 5 years. They sold the home basically out from under us, and I kind of feel like the security deposit should have been transferred to the new owner.
It's supposed to be transferred.
Well, it wasn't.
But you go after the new owner, don't you?
Well, the new we gave notice at that time that we would vacate the premises.
To whom did you give notice? To the old or the new owner?
To the old owner.
Yeah.
And this was prior to closing.
Did you vacate prior to closing?
We vacated after closing, and it was agreed upon by the new owner that we kind of caught in the middle there between after the closing and prior to him moving in.
Without regard to that, you closed after that. You were still a tenant when the new guy took over.
Exactly.
I'd go after them both then.
Go after them both?
Let the judge decide who's responsible. Yeah.
Yeah. My way of thinking on this whole situation is that the old owner's not entitled to retain the deposit on.
Well, of course he's not.
Something they don't own, and the new owner's not entitled to.
Look, we have nothing to quarrel about, you and I. They're both. Neither is. unless they can claim damages of some sort to the apartment. No, wait, hold on. Just don't interrupt me, please. What I'm trying to say is, unless they can claim that, neither's entitled to your money. But you're going to go after them both.
Yeah.
Let the court decide.
I know that it's an out-of-state, the old owner's out-of-state, and I think they kind of feel like they can't be touched.
Well, it's not necessary.
One question I had for you in a situation like this, I know in some instances you can claim 3 times the...
Well, that's a legal question, which I can't answer. But now, having you told me what you did, I'm going to change what I tell you. Go after the new owner.
Go after the new owner?
Well, because the problem there is, suppose the court says they're 50% responsible. Well, you get the new guy who's got the house in town, you could throw a lien against that or whatever. How do you go after the old guy? Now, let's assume that the court says that the new guy has no responsibility. Well, then you still got the old guy to go after. Maybe you're successful, maybe not. How much money is involved?
It's only $150, but it's principal.
Well, wait a while. There's only a limit to there's a limit to how far you can chase principal.
Well, I understand.
So I'd go after the new guy in small. I wish you'd told me that to begin with. Having said that, I would go to the new guy in small claims court. Never mind the old guy.
Okay.
The reason being, he's handy. For $150, you are not going to chase somebody out of state. I don't care how principled you are.
The home was managed by a local realty company.
Who collected the? Wait a minute. Who collected the deposit from you originally?
The realty company.
Then go after them too.
Go after them too.
Name them as well. Absolutely.
Okay.
For $1.50, I think if they get served, they'll probably settle.
Yeah.
I wish you well, kid.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Boise, Idaho. Hello there.
Hi.
Hello, baby.
I'm so glad to talk to you.
Well, I'm very pleased that you're here. What can we do for you?
Oh, I've just enjoyed your show for so long.
Well, thank you.
I have 11 acres here, and I'm trying to get it subdivided.
Has the property been subdivided heretofore?
No.
Are you sure?
Well, when I purchased it, it was divided off of someone else's property.
Well, that's a subdivision, and that's one in its history. How many others have there? You see, the reason I'm asking the question, most places, after you've had a couple, the property has been involved in a couple of minor subdivisions, you can't get it subdivided beyond that unless you do all sorts of improvements. Now, what are they? What kind of first of all, what's the zone call for? Let's start with that.
Well, I'm 10 acres. You have to have 10 acres in order to be able to subdivide.
Well, in that case, 10 acres. Do you mean the resulting properties have to have at least 10 acres?
Yeah.
Well, then you can't subdivide. You only got 11 acres.
Well, the reason I'm fighting this and pursuing it is because all of the property around me is 5 acres.
But they passed an ordinance that said 10 after that.
Well, actually, that was before these other properties were subdivided.
Well, how did they get around the zoning?
Well, that's what I'm not sure of.
Well, do you have an attorney?
No.
You better get one. You have to find out. They may have applied for a variance of some sort.
Well, that's kind of what I was trying to pursue.
Well, you just can't it's like getting pregnant. You don't kind of pursue it. You got to go after it.
Yeah.
You can't first of all, you have to find out precisely what the law says now. Now, you're telling me it's a 10-acre zone. Now, you got to have a good reason to go for, and it's not because you want to. That's not a good reason to get a 5-acre zoning. Hold on. Let's assume that everything around you is 5 acres. That may be a sufficient reason because you're trying to be in conformance with the rest of the area. But you've got to have some very good reasons, and what appear to be good reasons to you are not necessarily good legal reasons.
Yeah.
This is why, if you're going to apply for some kind of a variance, and it may not be a variance, I don't see how you can go before the planning board because the law is clear in this case. You got to have 10 acres. They cannot create an undersized lot. That means you have to apply to the Board of Adjustment, the Zoning Board of Adjustment. That is not amateur night. You'd be far better off to have an attorney apply for you. You have to notify I can't tell you specifically, but in most jurisdictions, you have to notify adjacent property owners. You have to notify them.
That's true here.
Well, you got to notify them officially, legally, through either certified mail or service in person, all that good stuff. But more important, you have, even if the people on the Board of Adjustment want to help you, you have an obligation to provide them with the legal reasons why they should grant you this variance. And I don't believe you can do that for yourself.
Yeah.
And furthermore, if you apply and then you blow it, that could really screw you up because your previous testimony can be used against you when you shot yourself in the foot when you should have kept your mouth shut.
Yeah.
So all the way around, if you're going to do this, you'd be much better off to get good legal counsel.
Yeah, I guess that's the best way to go.
It's about the only way to travel in this instance. I do wish you well, sweetheart. Thank you very much for sharing your time with me. And thank you, guys. We'll do it again real soon. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Interest in the property to you.
Right.
You got to be very careful with that.
Absolutely. I don't want that to happen prior to my having the other people release their liens.
Well, you also got to be careful that you're not accepting his responsibilities.
Right.
That's definitely something that your attorney is going to have to handle for you.
Okay, well, in trying to do it myself, and again, I haven't done anything.
Well, all right, go ahead.
But if I were to go down to the courthouse and I were to have the abstractors pull all the liens, and then I were to write a letter...
Well, that's easy. That part's easy.
Right, that part's easy. So I would write a letter to the lien holders...
Yeah. Explain the circumstance.
And let's say there were 6, and I offered them a token settlement of $500 each.
Yeah,
that's $3,000.
Yeah, they're probably not going to accept that, but go ahead.
Well, it's $500 more than they're getting now.
That may be, but if they look at they take a look and they say this guy's got $30,000 worth of equity, they're going to look at that 5,000 might be a better number. If that's or 7, I'm sorry, the equity's only 15,000 or 17. Point is, you see, this is where you and I are going to disagree, and I got to let you go. I don't believe this is a do-it-yourself operation. I would want a professional to do it for me. I think you could spend your time in more productive ways. That's for openers. Secondly, I would try my very best to have all of the expenses charged against what little equity he has, since these problems are not of your making. And I think you could probably get away with that. It would reduce the amount that you're looking to make some money on this. That's what you're telling me. You're looking to pick up his equity, pay the guys off cheap, and come out with a bigger piece of the pie. If I were in your socks, I just want to come out with my equity and get on with my life. You see the difference in our approach? Hello?
Yeah.
You see the difference in our approach?
Sure.
No, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just suggesting that it's that you might be better using your time to say to your attorney, okay, here it is, go with it, but I want to see your fees, because they were generated by his mistakes, come out of his equity. Even if if the property's quit claimed over to you, it's just a matter of mental bookkeeping. That'll give the attorney some very good reason to get moving and get this thing settled. Then I'd sell the property, get out from under. I'm Bruce Williams. Good luck. This is Talknet. We begin the festivities on the border at El Paso. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce.
Hi, baby.
The question I have for you tonight is, there's been a situation that's arisen at my husband's work.
I'm sorry, there's a what? But
a situation.
A situation? What kind of situation?
Well, apparently, he is going to be charged with child molestation.
Oh, boy. What kind of work does your husband do?
He's in sales. And
what kind of sales?
They sell to all sorts of people. They sell to, like, bottling companies, plants, retail, anything. They sell a lot of things that have to do with heavy-duty equipment.
Well, how in the world would a child even get into the act?
Well, it's his children.
Talk to me.
Okay. We're friends with them socially, but we've never been around their family, just friends with them socially. And
wait, hold on. When you said his, I thought you meant your husband's children.
No. His boss's children have accused the boss of this. And no.
Hold on. Maybe I'm sorry. I thought your husband was accused of child molestation.
No, we have no children, just a mutt.
Oh, okay. The boss has been accused.
Yes.
And how does that affect you guys?
Well, it doesn't really in any other way than apparently he's going to be picked up this week, and no one else at the office knows, and it's made it just very uncomfortable.
Well, how did you come by this information?
She finally told me last week.
She?
The wife.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, what can you do except sympathize if that's what you wish to do, or whatever?
My husband has asked to be, he doesn't want to know anything. He wants to stay out of it because he doesn't want anything to affect his position.
Well, how would it affect your position?
I guess if he found out maybe that the wife had been talking to people that he worked with.
And then what?
I don't know. That's what I guess I was calling to ask you.
I'm not sure what the answer would be. You're saying the boss's wife confided in you.
Mm-hmm.
For whatever reason. I mean, your acquaintances, friends, or whatever.
No, we're good friends.
You are.
We are.
You and the wife.
Right.
Well, I mean, I don't know how that's going to affect any of your work. He's going to have enough on his mind right now if he's being busted. Whether he's guilty or not is something we don't know.
Right.
Without it, why would I don't understand how it would affect your husband.
Well, I guess my husband, I think in one way, on one side, he does want to let him know he knows, and, what do we do if he gets busted? Because my husband would be the one then in that position.
I don't think that your husband should say anything until such time as this guy says something to him,
That's what I thought.
or he learns it through some other, if something happens. I hope at the last, he may not want to say, he may not want to face it.
I think he would prefer he didn't even ever know anything about this.
Well, unfortunately, a lot of people are going to know about it if he's arrested.
I understand that.
And there's little you can do about that.
Right.
I think your husband should hold his own counsel until such time as it comes up.
Okay. And just go on his day-to-day duties and
do whatever he does ordinarily. Absolutely.
And okay.
Go about his business.
That's what I thought you'd say.
Well, son of a gun.
But do you think in any way it's bad for me to let her confide in me?
Well, you said she's your friend.
She is my friend.
Well, then there's nothing you can do about that.
But I also come from an attorney family, and I still, in the back of my mind, is holding up. He hasn't got, he has not been convicted.
Yeah, indeed. There's a presumption of innocence in this country.
Absolutely. But these, on the other hand, there's such serious charges that kind of makes you sick. And
well, that may well be, but there's still a presumption of innocence.
That is true.
Whether it's serious or not.
That is very true. And so that's kind of what I've thought. But I think on another side of this, I think she will call me and want to know. She's called him and called me and wants to maybe get him to jeopardize.
Who's him?
The husband. Things going on at work, and he has said, you cannot ask me to do that. I can't do that.
Well, what do you mean jeopardize?
Well, when they were serving some papers, she wanted him to call and get the guy back to the office so they could serve him, and he said, I can't do that.
Maybe I missed something. I don't understand that. What do you mean serving papers?
Well, she's also divorcing him.
Oh, you didn't tell me that.
Well,
just as a minor little question. He's also being accused of child abuse or child molestation, and his wife's divorcing him.
But the wife was not divorcing him until the children came and told her this. There was no...
How old are the children?
There are 2 4-year-olds and an 11-year-old.
Well, I mean, I don't know how the credibility of a 4-year-old is seriously questioned.
That's what I thought also.
The 11-year-old, I don't know, but a 4-year-old's credibility is at the very best circumstance to be questioned.
Right.
Not disregarded.
But I mean, leave my husband out of it. Let work go on as usual, and.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I wish you well, dear.
Okay, thanks, Bruce.
Lost Wages, Las Vegas, Nevada. Hello there.
Hi.
Hey, Guy, how are you?
Voila, Monsieur Bruce Williams. I want to thank you for thanking all the people of America. You're really helping everyone.
Well, you're very generous. What's going on?
I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Well, I'm a survivor of the Vietnam Air War, but that's beside the point.
A survivor of what?
Vietnam Air War.
Mm-hmm. Well, you were what, the Air Force during that period of time?
I flew the F-111.
Did you really?
Swiftwing, yeah. Copy from the Germans. World War II. Anyway, let's go on to my problem. And I want to get your best helpful advice for my problem. My problem is that I had a fire in my house. And it was being rebuilt. So I hired a contractor, signed a contract for over $100,000.
Serious type fire.
Yeah. And I went up in the hospital and all that kind of stuff, but let's not go into that. Waste of time. Anyway, the inspector, all the work he was doing, the inspectors did not pass any of his work. He was supposed to finish within 3 months, and I fired him in 6 months. And I went in court for a couple of years, and the lawyers drive me crazy because every month I got to come up with about $800.
What's that for?
For the lawyer.
Yeah, but why are we in court? For what?
Because he's suing me, and I hired a lawyer, and my lawyers charged me.
Okay, he's suing. Okay, so where are we going with all this?
So I was wondering if there's any way to stop all this, and
Well, I can't answer. There's no way in the world I can answer that from long range without knowing a great deal of minutiae, which I don't know. The details. You say.
I told you the details.
You said that
3 months, and he didn't. It was 6 months when I fired him. He hadn't finished by 1/3.
Has the work been finished up now?
I hired another.
And he finished it up.
Contractor. He fired him. I hired another one. He finished everything.
Okay, fine. Well, then and the guy is suing what, for lost profits or what?
For the work that he did.
Well, you got to pay him for that.
Yeah, but he didn't. The inspector didn't pass anything. I offered him $20,000. He wants more.
How much does he want?
He wants. He was asking for the $100,000 that we signed a contract for.
Well, yeah, but what's he?
The inspectors didn't pass any of his work, and he was supposed to finish within 3 months. And I let him go at 6 months, and he had only completed about 1/3 of the work.
We're back to the same thing, though. Where you say the inspectors didn't pass it. How much is he willing to settle for?
He jumps around all the time, and we can't pin him down. But I like to get out of there, get it solved, and get out of it.
Well, that's what your attorney is all about. He's the guy who's supposed to be doing this negotiating for you.
I probably don't have the right attorney.
Well, in that case, get another negotiator. That's what it comes to you. You're probably right.
And when you're in Las Vegas, let us know.
I shall do so.
I'll tell you, another thing about when you're talking about your cruise, you're not talking about how much dancing is on board, because a lot of people are crazy about dancing.
Well, there's lots of dancing on the cruise ships, no question.
That's very, very important, but you never mention it when you're talking.
Well, I hadn't really thought about that. I do wish you well, Guy. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Palmer, Alaska. Hello there.
Hello, Bruce. I want to thank you again for your service to us, keeping us company in the late night hours.
Well, thank you very much. You're up in part of the world I'm very, very fond of.
This is home.
What can we do for you?
Well, we spoke a few weeks ago about a trip that my daughter had taken and was having problems getting home.
That was she went to Seattle, as I recall?
Yes.
Yes, I remember. But why don't you bring my friends up to speed who were not listening? Go ahead.
Okay, well, what had happened is she had taken a trip to visit Grandma and Grandpa.
Right. This is a child of how old?
11.
Right.
And, which has been no problem.
Mm-hmm.
She's been flying by herself since about the age of, by herself since the age of 5.
Mm-hmm.
And back and forth has been no problem. When we spoke last time, I had just gotten word that she was not being allowed on the airplane due to her refusal of...
She didn't want to wear a tag, as I recall.
That's correct. So that, and apparently was labeled on both sides so that the whole world could read her name, address, and phone number.
Right. Indeed. I was chastised by some friends who heard that conversation, said kids should not wear tags anymore. They don't wear them on field trips and so forth, which surprised the hell out of me.
Well, I'm not, not to, try to cause you any more problems.
No, it's not causing me a bit of problem. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Go ahead.
But anyway, I don't understand what's going on with the particular ticket agent at this time. Just wanted to finish filling you in.
Sure, go ahead.
That apparently the grandparents are handling that end of it, but after about a half hour of haggling with this particular agent.
Well, let's hold it. She did get home eventually.
She did. In fact, she got home on time.
On the same with the same airline.
With the same airline. What happened is, I had mentioned that my daughter had gone into hysterics, and what had happened is she was informed that even because of her initial refusal to wear the tag, that she wasn't going to get on that airplane, period. And after about a half hour of haggling with this particular agent, ticket agent, a supervisor walked past, took the situation under control, took the name tag, and carried it by hand down to the airplane. Went in and got the head flight attendant, explained the whole situation, what was going on. She came off the airplane, introduced herself to the grandparents and an aunt and uncle, and then proceeded to tuck the name tag in her pocket. She understood the situation completely, and had a wonderful flight. When my wife picked her up at the airport, showed the customary photo identification, and she got to come home. We had spoke about, you would like to see the identification as much as possible.
I had discussed this with a couple of friends who were teaching.
Right.
They said that because of all the weird stuff that's going on, that on field trips they don't wear name tags anymore. I can't imagine such a thing, but that's another story.
You're right. Well, what I was going to say is, I do agree with the wristband, especially due to the recent unpleasantness in Pittsburgh.
Yes.
But our prayers go with them and the families.
Indeed.
But I can understand the wristbands that I just want to let you know, and I wanted to again thank you very much for your time.
Indeed, I appreciate your call. I take it your daughter is still going to go back and forth to see Grandma from time to time.
Oh yeah, but next year she doesn't have to fall under the classification of photo identification.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Once she's 12, is that the magic number?
On most airlines, we've chosen. I think we will choose our normal carrier that we use particularly.
I see.
But because they have an absolutely fantastic policy that we agree with.
Very well. Hey, thank you very much for your call, my friend.
Yeah.
I do wish you well. This is difficult. This whole the defensive world we're living in today. That I remember when I was in school, meaning when I ran a school, each kid wore a name tag, and I was told very pointedly by a couple of teachers, "Oh no, now we have more parents that go on field trips and they have apples and oranges and that kind of stuff, but not anything to identify where they live or what their name is. That way somebody can't come up and say, oh, Mary Jane, the teacher sent me you'll get the picture." Sick world. Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, your turn. Hello there.
Hello, Bruce. Thank you for taking my call.
You're very welcome.
First start out, I'm happily divorced in 1986. Okay, and today's mail, I received a collection notice for a student loan that was defaulted. And
defaulted on by whom?
My ex-wife in 1990, apparently, because I opened the letter, because it came addressed to my home.
Was it addressed to you?
No, it was addressed to her. But it came to addressed to my address, which she had no right to use because the house never even existed at the time that we were married.
Oh, I see.
Okay. And
I was wondering why you opened her mail. I don't know.
Well, I built the house in 1990. And apparently when she went to go get her student loan, she put my address rather than her Florida address. So looking into the thing, it said that it was going to be, they are threatening to attach the tax documents, to collect their money. And I want to know, what do you think is the best course I should go to?
I just write them a letter saying that I am not married to this lady, nor have I been since whatever the year was, and have absolutely no obligation for her indebtedness, and please take it up with her.
Well, that's why if she was living in Florida, I can't understand why she would put my address. I know you always talk about the one that has the deep pockets are going to go after.
Well, that may be, but in this case, you are without any liability that I can see.
No, I have, the documents and everything else to
well, I just
verify
a very brief letter to whoever wrote the letter saying that you were.
Well, they have an 800 number on it.
Well,
you give them a
can
buzz?
call them and see what they have to say. But no matter how it comes down.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Right.
You should then confirm it in writing.
Okay.
So you have something. It's one thing that I called them. They said don't worry about it. Well, that's all very well. But how do you confirm that 2 years from now?
Right.
How do you even know who you talked to 2 years from now? And even if you knew, what makes you believe they'll still be working there 2 years from now?
Exactly.
So you really want to confirm everything in writing, but I don't think you have any vulnerability here. It's just a nuisance. You have to take the time to...
Yeah, at first I had X'd it out and put she is married now, and I'd put her name on it and the current address down in Florida, and, for the address corrections requested, it says on it. And then I got to wondering how come she's using my address, which, like I say, never existed at the time of our marriage. And therefore I felt as though I had a right to look at it. She had no reason to use my address. And
well, it would appear, but we don't know this, you never know. It would appear she used this to deceive somebody.
That's what I'm thinking, because I have good credit and good income, and she doesn't, I guess I can say, as my dad would say, have a pot to put in or a window to throw it out of. And, even today, I mean, she's probably in worse shape than she was in 1990.
Well, I think that's probably the reason why she did what she did, but that doesn't excuse it, doesn't endorse it, doesn't make it right.
Right.
But just you can call the 800 number, but whatever happens, confirm it in writing, and be certain to hang on to the copies. I do wish you well. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Ithaca, hello there. Welcome to my world.
Well, I'm Heinz in Ithaca. Mr. Williams, if you don't mind, I would like to ask you a question.
Please do.
I have been a consumer economist at Cornell University
for
25 years.
A consumer economist?
Not a Naderite. I believe in free enterprise.
All right.
There are some of those too. And I have, in 25 years, learned to know a lot about fewer and fewer things. But when I ever listen to you, when it comes to something that I was supposed to know something about it, you are right on the button. But you're so much right about many, many other things, I agree. I wonder what your background is.
You're very generous. I've just been around the barn once or twice, that's all. In terms of education, I have a couple of degrees in education, which don't mean a whole bunch. Owned a myriad of businesses and continue to own a few here in the... In fact, I own a bunch of businesses or have interest in a bunch of businesses. Other than that, as I say, I got the battle scars to prove it.
Well,
including going up to Cornell a million years ago, not to go to school there, but I was dating a girl at Wells College, which is around the corner from you guys.
That is correct. Well, anyway, I enjoy your programs very much, and I don't have the audience you had, even though I was on radio and television, still am on the radio.
Indeed.
But I like it, and I think you're doing a good job.
Very well. Where are you from originally?
Germany.
I would have thought someplace in that part of the world.
That was a long, long time ago.
Indeed. Hey, thank you very much for your... I'm sorry?
I'm 70 years old now. I came when I was 30.
Holy smokes.
Wouldn't go back.
I can understand that. I thought that was about the same time. Never mind. I wish you well, my friend.
Thank you.
All righty. Yeah, it gets pretty... Let me tell you something. Up in that Ithaca, New York, does it get drafty in the wintertime? I mean... That Lake Cayuga freezes over, and then you know you got cold. All righty, Ellis, Texas. Hello there.
Hey, how are you?
Hi.
Hi, Bruce. It's an honor.
Well, thank you very much.
Need your legal advice here.
Well, I'm not an attorney. Let's start with that. You know that.
I understand that.
Okay.
We several months ago back, we signed a contract for deed on the house we own.
You're selling the thing then, where somebody else is going to make payments, and eventually it will be transferred to them.
That's correct.
In theory, anyway.
In theory, sure. A few months back, the mortgage company called. Well, how it was to work was they were supposed to mail us the payment.
All right.
Okay, we gave them the coupon book.
But they're going to mail it to you, and then you in turn mail it to the mortgage company.
That is correct.
To whom was the check made out?
The check was made out to the mortgage company.
That was not very smart.
Okay.
Go ahead.
And anyway, find out that we made an agreement with these the party that was purchasing the deed.
Yeah.
To go ahead and just mail the checks into the mortgage company.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we received and I'd call in to find out if the payment's been made. The first month, payment was late. Got on them. They finally mailed it in. Second month, payment wasn't made. The third month, payment wasn't made. So I finally contacted the mortgage company, and they said no payments haven't been made. Well, what we had agreed on was that we'd mail them the coupons, they would mail them in. First mistake. They Xerox copies of the check that they wrote out to send in to the mortgage company. Well, they never made the payment. So a few months back, we called again, and mortgage company said, well, we've called you several times. And we had the correspondence for us, and they had said that they were my wife. So they changed the correspondence back to them so we wouldn't catch it.
What they're doing is they're committing all manner of frauds here.
This is fraud on one part.
Yep. So where are we going with this?
So now we're about $2,300 in the hole.
Well, you got to pay it.
Okay, we paid it. We caught up the payments. Now our credit's bad for probably 7 years.
Well, not necessarily. Go ahead.
All right. What can we do to get them out?
Well, you have to... First of all, you see, I don't know what is required in your jurisdiction. It's much easier, as it happens, under a contract than it is under a fee-simple deal. But you're going to have to get some legal advice as to what in your jurisdiction is required to get them evicted for non-performance under this agreement. The protections available to you are somewhat less than they are under fee-simple mortgage, but they are also much easier to enforce.
Okay.
So it's a plus, I guess, overall plus. But where you made your mistake, the money has got to come to you.
Okay.
Never to the mortgage company. And then you're on top of it all the time.
If they had sent us the money every month, and just like they didn't send it into the mortgage company, they signed a contract for the deed. This is not a lease.
No, I understand that.
If we were to take them to court, would it be like trying to get blood out of a turnip?
Well, as far as collecting the money?
Yeah.
Well, I think you'll probably never see that. The thing is, get them out of your house. You can start trying to sell the thing legitimately. Why did you take a contract back? I'm curious. Let me take a little time out here. That's a question I'd like to ask for obvious reasons. Stick around. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. I'm chatting with a gentleman in Euless, Texas. He sold a home or entered into a contract for deed, and the guy stuck him. That's what it comes down to. Why why in today's world, where there's plenty of mortgage money around, why didn't you just insist that whoever buys your home, buy it outright?
Because of the area that it was we were living in, it didn't sell for what we needed it to.
But you see, the only person that's going to go into a deal like you described under those circumstances is somebody who hasn't got anything.
That's correct.
Well, if the professional lenders won't loan them anything, what makes you smarter than they are?
Well, we went through a broker.
Without regard to that.
Whereas if you come in, buy this new home, we'll pick up your old home and get it contracted out for you.
Well, but yeah, big deal.
Hey.
So he's going to... It's in his interest to find any piece of garbage that comes along.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We're back to the same thing, you see. And under most conditions, the people that you wind up with under contract, this doesn't mean honorable people have never purchased a home under contract for deed. That would be ridiculous to say that. But more often than not, you're going to find people that are seeking out these deals that could not get money through conventional sources because the conventional sources say they aren't going to make it. And you certainly are living proof of that.
Yeah, and I'm finding that out. Would they be held liable for the amount of...
I don't think there's much question about it. No, I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No, but I don't think you're going to see any money anyway. Because we're back to the same thing. There are people who didn't have any dough to begin with. They put any money down?
They put $2,500 down. That went to the broker.
Oh. Lovely.
Okay. All right. That's the broker's part, and that's what we received. The broker paid us $2,500.
Run that by me again.
Okay. Their down payment to move in was $2,500.
Yeah.
And that's what we signed the contract on, that on the time we closed down our new home, that we would receive $2,500 from the broker.
I see.
Which we did.
All right, so what the broker was trying to do is expedite the sale of the new house, that's all.
That's correct. And then the broker gets a commission off selling the
new house, yeah.
So he's fat and happy.
Yeah, and you get stuck.
And we have a contract for deed.
Which is worthless. And you also have the property back.
I do have the property.
Well, but the point is that you got to get rid of it again. You get the new house and the old house, which is not a good situation.
This is correct.
Well,
if we had to make the 2 payments.
Yeah, well, you're going to have to make
My question is, had being the individual signed a contract for deed.
Forget about him.
Forget about that?
If he has no money, what good is it? That's the point I'm trying. I don't think you've missed the whole point of this. People that are going to go for a deal like this are people with nothing to lose.
And it protects them. The law.
It's not a question of protecting them.
Okay.
Suppose you're a mugger.
All right.
You mug somebody with no money in their pockets. How are you going to get any money out of them?
You're not.
That's exactly right. Well, you can't mug this person either because they've got nothing in all likelihood. That's what it comes down to.
So the contract's just worth nothing.
Absolutely. The contract is only worth what the people who sign the contracts are worth.
Okay.
Somebody gives you a lifetime guarantee and they're homeless. What good is it?
Mm-hmm.
I wish you well, guy.
Thank you much, Bruce.
Zanesville, Ohio, it's your turn. Welcome to my world.
Hi, Bruce.
Hello there.
Been listening to you for years. Finally get to talk to you.
Well, I'm very happy if you're here to take the time. What's on your mind?
Well, I was in the service for about 10 years. And while I was in there, I had a heart attack, but it's atrial fib. It's where your heart takes off beating very rapidly.
Mm-hmm.
And I had an attack while I was in the service. And then they told me I was fine. In fact, the doctor even told me, looked right at me there and told me I was having a heart attack. So I get out of the service, I go through my physical, everything's fine.
Wait, hold on now. The physical, when you were discharged from the military, was that a medical or just a regular discharge?
No, just a regular honorable discharge.
Okay.
Okay, now, what happened was 2 years after I'm out, I had the exact same thing happen again.
Mm-hmm.
Now my cardiologist is telling me that I've had this all my life. I'm wondering, do I have any recourse since the service did not find out what caused it? Did not even bother to try to dig in and find out what caused it?
I would doubt it because you're telling me that that was there when you went into the military. It was certainly not military caused.
We weren't aware of it at the time.
Well, I understand that, but I don't know if they had any obligation to beyond the normal. Put another way, what was there in this anomaly to stimulate them into thinking that there was something more than just a heart attack?
Well,
I mean, your guy may be exceptionally learned.
Well, I'm just wondering, even my EKGs match up. I mean, it's the same thing.
Yeah, but
they didn't even bother to find out if I needed any medication. They didn't, just said, well, everything's fine now, because it'll go away for a while and then it'll come back.
Well, that's their opinion. I don't think you can go to the military for a malpractice case. Not in this instance.
Well, I really don't want. I don't want to.
Let me put it another way. Suppose they had found this out. What then?
Well, what all I really want them to do is to pay for my medication for the rest of my days.
Well, I don't think they're going to do that. Well, the VA may, if you may be eligible for VA hospitals. What
about my medical bills that I accrued from the second time?
Well, why is that the military? Let me ask a very direct question. Suppose they had appropriately analyzed it while you were in the military.
Correct.
How would that have affected things 2 years later? Would you not have had the problem?
I would not have had the problem because I would have been on medication, which since that time, it's been 4 years now, and I haven't had any trouble whatsoever.
But the medication, had it been prescribed 4 years ago or currently, nothing would be changed except who's paying for it. You're saying because you're in the service, you don't get paid for it.
Well, what I'm saying is...
Your condition hasn't
service,
changed.
and I had that there, and they didn't bother to find out exactly what was causing it.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to get to is, so you took it 4 years later. Put another way, let me try it again. If you had the appropriate medication in the service, except for the attack that you had the second time, which led them to find out you needed medication, would there be any difference in your condition now?
No.
Well, in that case, I don't see whether you've suffered any. I don't mean that unkindly.
Except financially.
Well, yeah, but you're saying that the government ought to pay for the rest of your life for a condition that you came into the military with. See, if it was service-connected, it'd be a different matter altogether. But it wasn't service-connected, at least according to the description you're giving me.
Right. Well, at the time when I went in, I had no idea I had this problem.
Well, I understand that, but without regard...
It was brought out by the job I did in the service. The stress I was under brought it out. That's...
Well, you're saying, then you're telling me it is service-connected.
Well, yes, it would be service-connected, because I'd never had any trouble with it before I was in the service.
That doesn't mean it's service-connected. It just might have been at the time for it to come out. Suppose, for example, when you were a child, you had chickenpox.
Right.
Which most of us do.
Mm-hmm.
And that virus is, as I am told, that virus stays in your body the rest of your days. And one of the things that can manifest itself as is a friendly little disease called shingles, which is very unpleasant, I can tell you. But it can come out 2 years after chickenpox or 50 years after. Now, if it happened to come out while one was in the military, does that make the government responsible for that?
No, it doesn't.
Well, I think the same thing is true here.
So you're saying what I should do is go to the VA and see.
But as a veteran, you're certainly eligible to go to the VA hospital. That's true.
Okay, you've cleared up a lot for me.
Well, I'm not sure I cleared up. I'm just giving you my opinion.
Right.
I do wish you well, my friend.
Should I seek an attorney on this?
Well, I'd go to the VA first and see what they have to say.
Okay.
I mean, then we can discuss the legalistics, but that might be a little tough. I'm Bruce Williams. I am indeed, and of course, this is Talknet. Omaha, Nebraska. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce.
How are you?
I'm very nervous.
Not to be nervous. We haven't lost a customer this week. What's on your mind, my dear?
I own a small daycare center in a small town, about less than 2,000 people.
All right. How small is small?
Center?
Yeah.
I'm licensed for 36 kids.
Okay.
And
this is well beyond the mom and pop thing, though.
Right.
Okay.
And well, but since I have had it for almost 2 years, and I have yet to have been full.
Is that right?
It's just it's a real small town. Mm-hmm. We've got one factory here in town that employs over 200 people. Well, I take that back. They employ more than that. But they contacted me a couple weeks ago, and they go 24 hours a day. They have 4 shifts. They go from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. And I am open from 6 a.m. in the morning till 6 p.m. at night. And I don't want...
You said 4 shifts?
4 shifts.
Are they 6-hour shifts?
12-hour shifts. And they go, one crew will work days for 20 days, 3 days on, 3 days off, 2 days on, 2 days off.
Okay, I'm sure it works out. Those arrangements always perplex me.
I don't understand how those people can figure it out. But anyway, I don't watch very many of their kids, the employees that work there, because I'm not open nights. Mm-hmm. And they need child care at night also. Mm-hmm. But they have a hard time keeping their employees because the employees cannot find child care for overnight.
Looks to me like there's a need there. Are you prepared to fill that need?
Well, that's what they have asked me.
Why not?
Well, I'm supposed to meet with them next week to, just talk out possibilities. They've got to check with their corporate office in the back east, and they don't really, they don't know what they want to do, but they just want to, talk to me and see.
Well, when you say child care, you mean from midnight to 8 in the morning?
They want me to go 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
All right. Well, this would be a lot of sleeping time in there.
Right.
For the children I'm talking about.
Right.
Well, that's all right. I have no problem with that either.
Well, I don't either. But I don't know what they want me to sign a contract.
Right.
But I don't know what I should, because they cannot guarantee me that their employees will bring their kids to me.
Well, who is going to pay you?
Well, I've already decided that if I am going to do this, I am going to bill the company directly. and have them, take it out of like their employees' checks or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because the few times I have watched kids from people from this company it has only been their employees that I have ever been stiffed by.
What do you charge? Just curious.
In a small town like this, I charge for one child, like all day, $12 a day.
Well, that's cheap.
Yeah, well, like for 2 kids for 1 week is $100. And when I was taking my 2 kids to Omaha, I was paying almost $200.
That's very inexpensive.
Right, it is. It's very, very inexpensive. But I am one of the most, as far as I'm the only daycare center in town, and I charge quite a bit more than the in-home babysitters.
Mm-hmm.
But none of them will watch kids. Very few of them will watch kids overnight.
Well, the thing is, you're going to have to sit down before you, with yourself and whoever,
right,
and determine what it's going to cost to provide this nighttime service. Right. For example, you're going to have to buy a bunch of cots.
Right. Well, see, we already have the rest mat.
Well, but you're not going to put a kid to bed at night on a rest mat.
Right.
I don't think.
Right. Well, as far as the state is concerned.
Forget about the state.
Right.
I'm talking about the kid.
I know.
You're going to have to make some. It seems to me, maybe I'm wrong. I was in that business, as you know, for a long time. It seems to me you're going to have cots and blankets.
Right. And see, that's what we've been kind of. And see, also, I have 2, bathrooms, but I don't have a bathtub, and that would be another thing.
Well,
there would be.
Yeah, let's agree that there are going to be some capital expenditures here.
Right.
And then, of course,
that's what I'm kind of worried. I guess would I be out of hand to ask them for a signing fee to sign this or something like
anything that the 2 parties can agree upon.
Right.
But I think I would be more inclined to ask them for a guarantee over, say, a year's period of time that the evening shifts and the weekends, the times you're not open. Are you open? You're not open 7 days now, are you?
No, I'm just open
Monday through Friday. So that you're going to have to add effectively 2.5 times.
Plus, they only close down for major holidays, which
Mm-hmm. Well, what I'm trying to get to is you're going to have to sit down and figure out what it's going to cost you to gear up for this.
Right.
And then how much it's going to cost you to make a profit, even if you're not used effectively.
Right.
And certainly for, say, 2 years.
Right. Well, see, and that's the thing, and working in a small town like this, now I just break even. I just kind of do this really just so I don't sit around the house.
That's very foolish. You ought to make money. If you're not making money.
I make a little bit of money. I mean, I could make more if I were working a full-time job, but there's such a need for child care to find care for my kids.
Well, that's another story.
Right.
But the point is, the point I'm trying to make, however poorly, is you're going to you must sit down and determine what it's going to cost to keep the doors open.
Right, right.
And if they want you to stay open these rather unusual hours, unorthodox hours,
right,
they're going to have to share the risk.
Right.
And if you decide it takes whatever the number is, let's assume that you got to operate with that your present. I don't even know how to figure this, but let's assume it's $12 a day for this night shift.
Right.
And it takes you, for the sake of discussion, $300 a day to stay open. I don't see I can do it for that.
No. See.
Then they got to guarantee you that much money.
And then also, like, they pay their shifts overnight, like 30 cents more an hour to work the night shift. Would I be out of hand to charge more for the night shift?
Well, of course, you're going to charge more.
Right.
But it's not a question.
Because my employer said I'll work that night. I'll work nights if you pay me more.
Yeah, but here's the whole point is, and you're talking around it. You got to do a cost analysis.
Right.
Let's assume that for the sake of discussion, it's going to cost $4,000 a month to stay open at night.
Okay.
Without any profit.
Right.
They got to guarantee you like $5,000 or $6,000 a month. Guarantee from your whatever you don't gross, they will subsidize to that point.
Okay. See, because I had never even, I just was thinking like a signing fee up front. You know,
forget the signing fee.
Right. And I just, well, that's why I'm calling, because I just been kind of, we're going to see a lawyer before we sign anything.
Indeed.
But we didn't even know where to start.
Well, the way to start is to do analyses.
Okay.
What's it going to cost me to stay open? The extra utilities, the extra help, the extra capital investments, all of these things.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to be significant.
Right.
Okay, that's a dollar figure. And now we're not going to. You don't expect to get that back the first day.
Right.
We're going to amortize over say a year period. We'll say, for the sake of this, we don't tell them that.
Mm-hmm.
Year period. Then you sit down and you figure how many bodies have to be there at night and weekends, all that sort of thing. whether there's anybody there or not. If you have 2 kids show up, you still got to pay the people.
Well, see, that's it. Cause,
well, no, let's just stop.
Right.
We agree on that.
Right.
So you put your payroll down, and you put your workers' comp down, and your contributions to contributions, don't you love that word, to Social Security and the rest of that stuff, right? Add it all up, and then add 10% for stuff you forgot, because you will.
Right.
And then add your profit into that. And that's the number. And you say, if I gross, well, let's assume I added up to 5,000 for the sake of discussion. If I gross 3,000, you guys on the first of each month got to write me a check for 2. My books are opened for audit.
Well, and see, that's, I guess if I were going to bill them direct, then they would have a way to, they would know how much business I was doing too.
Yeah, but how about the non-employees? So maybe somebody comes along from someplace else.
Right.
That ain't going to work.
Okay.
Unless you make it's exclusive to their employees. I don't think they want to do that.
No.
I'm not sure if they're going to go for this. You guys, you might ask them, rather than, I think it'd be more reasonable, rather than you bill them direct, that they guarantee you're their employees. There's a big difference there.
Right.
If one of their employees doesn't pay you, then they guarantee they will.
Okay.
That's a big, that takes a lot of that pressure off of them.
Okay, because I guess, because other parents have, work pays me, and then they take it out before taxes, and they have tax advantages to do it that way.
If you can work that out, that's okay too.
Because I thought that would be to their advantage.
Well, it is it's the employee's advantage. Because it's, as you point out, it's a before tax benefit as opposed to it, but that's something you can work out with them. But the big thing is you want to guarantee for at least a couple of years.
Yeah, see, I didn't know what to ask for without, just being ridiculous.
The fact is that you got, I don't know how many ways to say, what's your first name?
Christy.
Christy, you got to, this is a business. This is not a romance here. It's a business.
Right.
It's going to cost you so many dollars to keep the damn door open.
Right.
And you got to get paid those dollars.
Definitely.
End of story. And a profit on top of all that.
Right. Well, see, that's...
And Chris, listen to me. If you don't get it, then you've lost nothing.
Right. Well, see, that's it.
If you don't get the profit, you've lost nothing.
Right.
And you want a reasonable profit, not this nickel and dime stuff that you say, well, I could make more in a regular job. If you don't make more in this job, then you're wasting your time. Good luck, Chris. I'm Bruce Williams. Dallas, Texas. Hello there. Welcome to my world.
Hello, Bruce.
How are we doing, guy?
I'm doing great. I enjoy your show, and I value your advice.
Well, you're very generous on both points. What's on your mind?
Well, thank you. I have a question for you. I've just gotten a job here in Dallas. I just graduated from school, and I was fortunate enough to get a job. A lot of my friends are still looking, and it's a good job. I'm the marketing administrator for a company here in Dallas. We're, I guess you could say, an international company, but we're mainly do our business in the United States. I've been self-employed 3 times, all where I had to sell my own products. That's how I put myself through college. And my friends...
How old are you?
I'm sorry?
How old are you?
I'm 23 years old.
Oh, you're just a youngster. Okay, go ahead.
I think I'm an old man.
Well, I'm sure.
Well, yes, sir. And my friends have always told me that I'm going to succeed in sales. Well, now I've got this job. I don't want to quit it. It's with a growing and a profitable company, and I'm making good money. But I'm very interested in getting into something on the side, in sales, that is. And I was going to ask what you might recommend that I get into. And
anything you like you want to sell that you can get the job. Well, as long as there's no conflict with your current employer.
Yes, sir.
What business is your company in?
We're in the soft drink industry.
All right, fine. Now you want to stay away from that sort of thing.
Oh, yes.
But I mean, first of all, I think you have to ask yourself some kind of important questions.
Okay.
And they're not real profound questions, but nonetheless. We're talking about now selling now, what we're getting into, right?
Yes, sir.
These are questions you have to answer now.
Okay.
Well, the first thing is, are you more comfortable with a tangible or intangible product?
I've sold both.
Well, but that wasn't my question.
Oh, yes.
My question was, what are you more comfortable with?
Well, I think at this point in my life, I could deal in either one.
But you see, if we're going to start looking for something, all right, let's pass by that. You see, I think you have to decide which if you just can't scattershot, I'll sell anything.
Yes, sir.
Are you more comfortable selling securities or insurance or whatever, or are you more comfortable selling baby food in bottles? Or you see where I'm coming from?
Oh, yes, I do.
Then you got to decide: are you more comfortable in a wholesale or a large lot or executive type relationship, or do you want to deal with the general public? This is another thing.
Okay.
Are you more comfortable in inside or outside sales? So if it's going to be part-time, the likelihood it's going to have to be outside. But maybe not. Maybe you might get a job on weekends in a say, an electronics store, selling tangible stuff. You're a big stereo buff. I don't know the answer to that. These are the kind of inventory questions I think you're obliged to ask yourself.
Okay. Okay, would you happen to have any recommendations?
No.
With my time schedule?
No.
No?
Well, because there's a myriad of things you can be doing.
Yeah, you're right.
Not to be, and every list is an exclusion. I mean, you can be everything from selling hot dogs at the stadium to getting involved in financial products.
Sure.
A lot of guys selling real estate, as an example, is largely a night and weekend activity, isn't it?
Oh, yes, it is.
The vast majority of people who are out there looking for a home, not all certainly, but a vast majority are out there on weekends because they're out slugging it out during the week.
That's right.
And the evening. So that might be an avenue to explore. And then we got to decide, are we going to be a regular broker or a regular agent or a buyer's agent or who knows? You see, these are all little questions that have to be answered.
I've got a lot of searching to do, don't I?
Well, I think more mental searching, more mental researching. You're going to take a look at your assets and see how they can be best used.
Okay.
And there's another question. You're 23. I take it you're single.
Oh, yes.
How much of your social life are you prepared to sacrifice here?
I'm willing to sacrifice it all if the price is right.
Good answer. Well, we won't know if the price is right initially.
That's right.
Because if you're going to make any important dough, you're going to work on commission.
I have no problem with that.
Well, good. That's another good answer. You had a lot of good answers. I like your style.
Well, thank you.
I do wish you well, kid. Knock on
Thanks,
dead.
Bruce.
Good talking with you.
Keep up the good advice.
I'll give it my best shot. I'm Bruce Williams, and let's take a little time out. Time out on Talknet. Richmond Hill, Georgia. Hello there.
Hello, Bruce. How are you today?
I couldn't be better, Tiger.
Great, great. Well, my question is, first of all, I'd like to commend you on how well you speak to people and without speaking down to them, even when sometimes the questions aren't always the greatest.
Well, listen, these are my customers, my friend.
I understand completely. My question involves a book I wrote in regard to computers. It's a kind of a buyer's guide for someone who knows little to nothing about computers.
Written for me, huh?
Perhaps.
Well, I was reading an article in a Sunday newspaper recently.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about feeling inept when I got done with that. Boy, I mean, I hadn't a clue. I've got to take a course in computers. I am just totally out of this information highway and CD-ROM and the rest of it. I thought CD-ROM was, the name of a Girl Scout troop or something. I didn't know.
It's a little more than that.
Well, it may be, but I don't. If you laid $1 million on the table, I could not accurately define CD-ROM.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was a rap group. What do I know?
Well, then I guess this is for you. I'll have to send you a copy.
There you go.
My question is, I know a good amount about computers. I don't know much, if anything, about publishing the book.
Well, it's very difficult to do, let me tell you.
Okay.
Are you talking about self-publishing? I hope not.
No, I don't know what to do. I suspect that there are those out there that will publish it with me subsidizing, paying into it.
As a cat got whiskers, of course there are.
Right.
That's called the Vanity Press.
The Vanity Press?
That's the generic term, Vanity Press.
Right. Now, how would I go about finding those people that will pay for it all?
Well, that's very, very difficult, you see, because unknown publishers are pretty tough. Now, given the fact that we're talking about something that's on a technical side, you may, I don't know the answer, but you may have a little better shot. And what you do is you go to the library, go to the bookstore, and take down the names of publishers who are publishing similar material.
Okay.
And write to them. And that's the only way I know to go about it.
Now, I already, I have to finish up a couple minor things on it, but then I will be sending it in for copyright.
You can do that, but just send a chapter or two. That's all you're required to do for openers.
To a publisher, you mean?
Sure, have the chapter copyrighted and send it off to the publishers.
Oh. Well, no, the book's finished. I just have,
Well, what I'm trying to tell you, don't send the whole book.
Oh, okay.
Send a chapter and maybe an outline of the other chapters.
Okay.
Brevity is never unappreciated.
Right.
If they want the whole thing, all they can do is pick up the telephone. And you'll hand walk it over. I don't care if it's in Ireland.
Understood.
So that just get a chapter and an outline off. But the first thing you'd be obliged to do, as it seems to me, is to do that research that I described.
Right.
Find out who's publishing similar type materials, because they're the logical places to aim at. Would you agree?
I certainly do.
Give it a shot, kid.
Okay, all I ask is, Bruce, if you put me back on, I'll go get your address and I'll send you a copy.
Very well, I appreciate that. Danny will, if you just hold on a minute, and Dan will take that.
Thanks a lot, Bruce.
And I'll be very happy to comment. I'm seriously going to tell you, I feel so computer illiterate, I'm obliged to buy myself a PC and learn something. I've been fighting it, but I'm just going to be obliged to do it. That's a fact. Fairbanks, Alaska, hello there.
Hi there, Bruce. I really enjoy your show, and I learn something every time I listen to you.
Well, thank you very much.
My question concerns whether I should go back to college or not.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 25 years old, recently married. I work a full-time job, and I have a business I do on the side.
You're pretty busy. What do you do on the side?
Basically just yard work. Anything I can do that's in my capability. If people need stuff cleaned up from the yard, or if
okay. And what's your regular job?
I work at the airport as an aircraft refueler.
Okay. And what would you like to do? If you say you would like to go to school, what would you like to do?
What I would really like to do is to run a snowmobile shop and a motorcycle shop.
Well, I'm not sure it's necessary to go to college for that.
Right. The only problem with that is with wanting that type of career is I don't think you can make a lot of money at it.
Well, that I don't know. But the question is that what is the driving issue? Some people will tell you the driving issue is to make money. I would have probably answered that way when I was your age, and I'm not sure I'd answer that far off now. But that doesn't make it right. It just meant it made it right for me. Now, what is, you obviously, you said you're married. You have to provide a living for your family.
Mm-hmm.
But what do you want to do? You see, that's why I asked, what do you want to do? If you have other goals in mind that require a formal education, well, it's necessary to go back and make the sacrifices and get it.
The other thing I thought of was insurance, to be an insurance agent.
Well, again, there's no degree required for that either.
No?
No, sir.
How would I go about getting...
Well, if you're talking about life insurance.
No, more as an agent for or an independent agent.
Well, you're talking about casualty insurance for the most part.
Right.
Well, then you're going to have to study and get your license to be an agent. I mean, I don't know how it works in Alaska. It works differently from each state. But in order to be a broker, you have to spend so much time as an agent, kind of an apprentice, for lack of a better term.
Mm-hmm.
And to become an agent, you have to pass a state licensing exam. And that's really not all that difficult, I don't think. You may have to go to some kind of a school for that, but that's not a big deal.
Okay.
And, of course, then you got to start selling insurance, which is not the easiest thing to do in the world, but not the hardest either. If it's something you want to do, and there's a buck to be made there.
The other thing I thought was if I should do my business full time, and I started it about a year ago, and I was advertising in the paper, and it would cost me about $40 a week to advertise in the classified.
Yeah.
And I really wasn't getting very much business from it. So there's only a few people I don't advertise anymore, and there's only a few people that I do things for, and I really enjoy doing that. It's different every day and things like that. But I'm doing something wrong, and I don't know.
I don't know that you're doing anything wrong. If you're saying that the advertising didn't have people flocking to you, well, you might not have had run a big enough ad. And how many weeks did you run the ad? Let's start with that. Just
probably a grand total of probably 16 weeks.
All right, that's 150, 300, 640 bucks.
Uh-huh.
All right. Now, how much business did that generate?
Not 640 bucks.
No, how many customers did it generate?
How many customers? Probably 10.
And you didn't get 600 bucks out of 10 people?
Well, yeah, I guess I did. But
and how about referrals from those 10 people?
That didn't go as well as I thought. I thought it would be a real good word of mouth because I do provide a good service. Everybody that I've done work for was very pleased. But the word of mouth thing didn't work.
Well, did you go to the people and say, look, could you give me a list of your friends that I can call?
No.
Why not?
I didn't think of it.
Well, try it.
Okay.
You see, the initial thrust of an advertisement in a service enterprise might not generate enough to cover the ad. However, you get one customer. If that customer gets you two, and those get you two more, and so forth, your business grows.
Mm-hmm.
But frequently, you got to ask.
Mm-hmm.
How about a list of your friends? I hope you start the conversation with, I hope you're satisfied with my service. Yes, we are, John. You're doing a great job. Good. I wonder if you could give me a list of 4 or 5 of your friends I could call upon and say, listen, I'm doing work for so-and-so that might need my services. All they can say is no.
Okay.
I wish you well, kid.
Thank you very much, Bruce.
I'm Bruce Williams. Hang in for more. More Talknet. Let's go to Garden City, Kansas. Hello there.
Hello, Bruce. First-time caller, long-time listener.
Well, I'm very happy that you're here, my friend. What's on your mind?
Okay. About a year ago, I went with my father-in-law, and we purchased some ground next to town that was the equivalent of a city block. Okay.
All right.
And then we went ahead and we're not really developers, we're farmers, but I was going to build a house in town, and this seemed like the best lot for the future down the line.
The whole city block, you boy.
Well, it's the equivalent of a city block. It wasn't in the city limits, but it's touching the city on 3 sides, and it's right next to a rest home and a hospital, and it's just a real good spot.
All right.
Anyways, what we did is we got it platted out and took it to the planning committee, and everything was approved. Took it to the city council. They said, yep, that looks good. And the way it's going to be is there's going to be a street going right down the middle of what we bought, and then there'll be lots on both sides. And I proceeded, or they okayed everything. The city was going to go ahead and, we signed a petition to have utilities brought in, and the city was going to go ahead and put in a street, and then they were going to use temporary bonds, and then after it was complete, then they were going to set it up and then assess it back to us for the next 10 years on the lots.
That's an unusual way to do it.
Okay, well, small towns, that's kind of the way, that's the way they've been doing some of it.
Well, that's very generous to you.
Yeah.
Most places, they'd say, look, you want a street, you put it in, and they build it to whatever standards we have, and then we'll accept it.
Well, that's where, like I say, I know, around here there is some big developers that's the way they'll do it. They'll buy the equivalent of 3 or 4 blocks or even more than that, and then that's the way they do it. But being this here's a smaller town, and that's kind of the way they've done it in the past just to help the town grow, because no one can come in and do big stuff like that. But anyways, what we did is we did that, and this was like 11 months ago, and they still haven't gotten anything done as far as the street goes. Now, they have got water hookup down the middle where they're going to have the water underneath the street, okay? And I've already got my house built. I'm living in it, and I can't even access to my garage because the existing streets on the north and south side, they haven't even cut the curbs and put approaches or anything. And I was just kind of curious what someone would do to go to the city to kind of help them speed things up.
Well, you got to find somebody in city government that's sympathetic to you. Now, you might start, what kind of a government do you have? You have council people?
Yeah, they've got city council members, and then they do have their, it's kind of a countywide planning committee. And then they've also got a city administrator who's kind of the head cheese, but...
Well, are you in the city or in the county?
In the city.
All right, then first person to talk to, do you have ward representation or is it strictly at large?
At large.
Then talk to any one of the councilmen you're close to.
Okay.
And they're the guys that are wielding the power. You say, I got a problem. We went through all of the various committees and all that jazz, and we were supposed to get a road built. And that'll help me. I assume it'll help you sell the lots and so forth.
That was my biggest complaint, because we've already lost a couple of sales just because they want to build now, and they said, well, if we can't access it, then we'll go elsewhere.
Indeed.
And but that's where
How long is the street?
300 foot.
Well, what would it cost you to build it?
Well, that's just it. It was going to come up to like $15,000 if I would hire someone to come in, excavate it, grade it, and put it in.
How many lots?
They're going to be pretty good sized lots, just 6 of them.
How many lots?
6.
All right, that's $2,500 a lot, right?
Yeah. Just
so they're going to, the people who have the lots are going to pay it either way through an assessment program or in the cost of the lot. Why not put it in yourself
and then
just raise the price of the lot by $2,500?
Yeah, that makes sense, because like I say, you're either going to pay for it now or pay for it later.
Well, it's not a question that there's any freebies here. Just the only thing is, if you do it their way, you're getting the use of the community credit. That's what it comes down to. But I mean, I can't imagine they would object if you built the road to city standards and you turn it over to the city.
Yep. I mean, that's probably my best.
Well, you
turn it over,
and you wouldn't have lost the sales that you lost. So to my mind, that would be the way to go. I am really surprised they do it the way you described.
Yeah.
You can say all you want about small towns or whatever. It's just, in my judgment, an overly generous way to go.
And then, well, one other question, if I can ask it right quick.
Yeah, 15 seconds, go.
Okay. For the city water hookups, they charge you $500. They make you pay for the water meter, everything. Is that standard?
That's cheap.
That is?
Yes, sir. How about sewers? No sewers?
The sewers there, that was cheap hookup. They don't even charge you for it.
In that case, that doesn't sound to me like you're being abused at all, but I would put the street into my expense if it were me. I do wish you well, Guy. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet.
News Radio 630 KIDO, your early morning news station.
Why would there be? That's the purpose of a warranty.
Exactly.
The fact that it took them longer. If it took them half the time, would they say, "Well, we're going to give you a credit for that time"? Not by the hair of your chinny chin chin.
No. So anyway, I talked to the dealer. I wrote him a letter, the service manager, and I said, look, this is not right. Of course, they had me by the throat. I did have to go ahead and pay it because they had my car, and they said, we'll put a mechanics lien on your car. We got the keys. So I had to have my car, so I paid them. I said, well, I'm paying it, but unhappily. And they're a good, reputable dealer, but I said, I'm not paying this happily, and I do believe this $178 charge is improper.
Well, it's not a question of happily. You said, I'm paying it under duress.
Yeah, well, I did. That's the term I used. I said, I'm paying it under protest in this, and so I contacted the National 800 arbitration line for the thing, and they said, well, any problems you have under this warranty, you have to settle with the dealer. I said, wait a minute, you guys on TV and radio and everything advertise that this is a corporate stand-behind warranty, and they said, all we're doing is we will stand behind the amount that we promised to pay the dealer. If the dealer chooses to charge you X amount of hours shop time more than that he feels is justified, then we're not going to advocate on your behalf. I said, but it's your warranty. They said, that's your problem. So
in that case, go ahead.
So I went back to the dealer, wrote them the letter, outlined everything why I felt it was improper. And their basic thing is, if we had caught it in the bulletin the first time and replaced the synchronizer, they agreed with me. This second repair never would have been necessary, never would have happened. However, we didn't catch it the first time, but we can't be expected to catch everything. That was their said. They said nobody can be aware of all the bulletins, which is humanly true.
No, I wouldn't agree to that. No, stop. I wouldn't agree to that. Don't shoot your toes off.
Sorry.
That's what you're paying them for, to be aware of those things.
Right.
Say, look, that's not a cop out on you. You can't cop out that way, fellas. I could have gone to a shade tree mechanic who wouldn't be aware of these things, but I came to you because that's what you get paid for.
Right. Well, that was exactly what I told them when I said...
They could have shut this a little bit short. They don't want to give you the money, right?
Yeah, go right ahead.
I go to small claims court in a heartbeat, and I name the dealer as well as the manufacturer.
Okay, dealer and the manufacturer.
Absolutely. You're the people who issued the warranties. This is all you know is that you were told and you were led to believe on television, et cetera, and this not happening, and you want to know why.
Right. So
that's it. That's I don't think you're reasonable at all.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
But a summons from you see, up until now, you're just an irritant. Your telephone calls.
Right.
When they get a summons to appear in court, now they got to sit down and say, well, we got attorneys in our payroll, but does it really pay us to horse around for $175? Chances are they're going to come up with a conclusion, no. Not to mention the possible adverse publicity that such an action would bring.
Right.
But you see, until you do something to a telephone call, get on it.